Now, once upon a time in professional wrestling, it used to matter what the fans thought.
For example, all you parents out there with kids, when your kids misbehave, you give the New Day a call. The New Day comes over to your house, and we will fight your children.
Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of wrestling sucks, but when it's good, it's fucking great. Wrestling is melodrama. Wrestling is mythology. Wrestling is action. Wrestling is comic books. The only thing wrestling isn't is wrestling.
Who wants to take back professional wrestling?
Welcome, everyone, to episode 108 of your favorite podcast, Around the Ring. Today, you have me, your co-host, your Floyd and Savior, Floyd Johnson. With me, as always, is the incomparable Silky Dave Brown. And today we got our favorite co-host with us to make the best threesome that Around the Ring has to offer. We got Daniel, the world champ of Glow, Rube. How you doing today? How are both of you doing?
I'm doing great, boys. Dirty Dan Rube is in the house. I got Patriots football on my television, a fresh Sprite. I'm ready to talk some shop for you.
How's your week been, Dave?
It's been good. It's been busy. Been busy between going to the gym first thing in the morning every day and work and being exhausted when I get home. Haven't done much else.
Well, I'm always refreshed when I come from the gym because if you might remember, I call my bed the gym. So when I go to the gym, I usually come out pretty refreshed.
I hope you're getting a pretty good workout in that bed, Floyd. Wink, wink.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody watch anything good on TV this week?
You know, I've actually been rewatching Daredevil and Jessica Jones leading up to The Defenders coming out on, Friday? This coming Friday, which I'm super excited about. So yeah, I finished rewatching season 1 of Daredevil. I started season 2, and then that's when I realized, oh wait, Jessica Jones came out before season 2, so I started rewatching Jessica Jones. And so yeah, that's what I've been doing kind of at night when I'm get home and I'm tired. I've just been putting that on and watching it. How about you guys?
Floyd, you go ahead.
All right. Discovered this show on FX this week. It was on the front page of Hulu, and no one had recommended it. I just started running out of TV, so I clicked on it, and it was called You're the Worst. And it's kind of a TV show that's an anti-romantic comedy. It's probably one of the funniest TV shows I've ever seen. You have to have a pretty bad sense of humor or sick sense of humor because they go some pretty far places on wrong. This last season 3, they just had pretty much a 5-minute debate about, and I wouldn't call it a debate, just 5 minutes ongoing conversation about how ugly a baby is. So that's the kind of show it's going to get into. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, but if you and your friends feel like you have that sick kind of sense of humor, that show is for you. I know you've had a busy week, Dan. This is your second week at your new gig?
Yeah, this is my first complete week. I had a really great opportunity in my field of oil and gas, and I decided to jump on it. I'm learning a lot of new concepts. I'm running and chaining Mineral Title, and that is a lot of work, mentally exhausting. Every day I come home and my brain just feels like a hamburger patty, but to that effect, I've been getting some of the best sleep of my life right now, so I got that going for me.
Mental exhaustion will do that for you. You watch any TV this week?
Yeah, man, I've been going through the new season of Wet Hot American Summer, 10 years later. I absolutely loved the shows. The movie I didn't get into until much later. I just didn't understand it. But going back to it, it's just so fantastically absurd, and everybody in the whole cast is just some of my favorite people as far as like Amy Poehler, Michael Ian Black, Michael Showalter, just everybody in that show are some of the funniest people in Hollywood. So I highly recommend that if you like really wacky, absurd comedy.
So I loved that movie. I absolutely adore that movie, and I have not gotten around to watching the shows on Netflix, so it is worth checking out.
Oh, man, it is fantastic. I absolutely highly recommend it. I've gone through the first season about 5 times, and I can just sit there and watch it all in one sitting and never get tired of it.
So, gotta ask, is Janine Garofalo in it?
Yes. Everybody is in. Everybody that's in the movie is in the first season of the show. The second season recast Bradley Cooper because he's a gigantic megastar right now, but they do it in a really funny way, which I'm not going to spoil for you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he is. I'm a big Bradley Cooper fan, going all the way back to Alias. I've always liked him. But yeah, one thing I like about that movie is a lot of the cast of that movie were on a show on MTV called The State, which was a sketch comedy show, which was basically the American version of Kids in the Hall, and was hilarious. And I'm actually kind of amazed that my young self got any of it, because it's pretty wacky, kind of complex humor. And if you like Kids in the Hall, you will love it. It was so funny. So if you like those people who are in,
I love both.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah. Fun fact: Janine Garofalo is my one of my '90s crushes.
Oh my God, who was not in love with her in the '90s? I mean, she
God, so hot,
so hot.
Because she was funny, and then she was, just cute enough, and that just equaled sexy to me.
And I'm sorry, but in the movie The Truth About Cats and Dogs, she was 1,000 times hotter than Uma Thurman. Just there was no comparison. None.
I completely agree.
That's your hot take of the week by Dave Brown.
There you go. Exactly. So
I've never been attracted to Uma Thurman, at all.
She's an interesting. I mean, it's not that she's unattractive, but she's very unique. And she's been great. So she was excellent in Pulp Fiction. Yeah, she takes a needle like a champ in the heart. So
yeah, she does nothing for me. Like zero.
That's your hot take of the week by Floyd.
Is that a hot take? Uma Thurman, only person I know that really finds Uma Thurman attractive is Quentin Tarantino.
It's a take about a hot person. How about that? We'll split.
Is she hot? That's the question.
I think the general consensus would be that she's hot.
Oh, okay. You're attracted to her, I take it?
No.
All right. Dave, are you attracted to her?
She's okay.
I don't know anyone that thinks she's hot other than Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino does have interesting taste, for one thing.
He does, but I'm just saying, I was just pointing that out. It's just we give her this hot type of title, but I don't know any regular guy that really thinks she's hot.
Well, I don't know. I mean, in Kill Bill Volume 1, I believe, there was that long shot just about her feet. So that's all Quentin Tarantino going into business for himself right there.
Oh,
she has big, gnarly feet, too.
And she was excellent in the movie. I think she's an excellent actress. Just don't think she's hot.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
There you go. Oh, now, since we've been talking about things we're watching and attractive people, did y'all hear that Glow was renewed for Season 2?
I did. I am very excited. I went into that show not expecting much. I honestly only watched it because Allison Brie was the star, and I think she is smoking. And so I was like, I'm going to watch the show and give it a shot, and I actually just became so enamored in the story, and I know it was a lot of the true story taken and then made to be the movie way, and it was great.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it too. I really didn't expect it to be as popular as it was, since it is very niche especially for Netflix. But a lot of people that I talked to that aren't wrestling fans just decided to check it out and got hooked. So I'm really excited for the cast, and I can't wait to see where the story goes from here.
And it's helped me with my argument that wrestling is theater. And I'm just like, I tell people that I've made that argument for many years, and they're like, how can you watch that? And I'm like, it's really just a play. We know where they do the stunts live. I'm like, that's what a lot of what wrestling is. I'm like, it's not lowbrow. It really isn't. It's just, instead of killing people, they wrestle, and that's how they resolve their conflict. You can think of the world champion as the king, and everyone is trying to get to that throne.
Hey, South Park a bunch of years ago, they did an episode exactly on that concept where the boys had their backyard wrestling promotion, and there was basically zero wrestling in it, and it turned into just a gigantic theatrical production with Vince McMahon actually coming to view the boys and having, opera glasses to watch it with, Floyd is exactly right. Wrestling is theater. I wrote a paper about it in college whenever I was in theater, and I got an A, so I think you're definitely onto something there.
Yeah, I think that's something that in the show itself they even brought up. I can't remember the character's name, but the blonde who was Allison Bree's former best friend, when they go and watch the matches, and she watches Christopher Daniels. I think he was taking on Alex Riley, who sucks, but looks the part. And she gets into it, and as basically the Samoan character is telling her, yeah, well, this is the story, blah blah blah. She has this aha moment where she's like, this is a soap opera. I can do this, and she jumps up and starts screaming at the top of her lungs. I thought that was an amazing way to explain what pro wrestling is to people that don't know what it is. And one thing I'm really curious about is there going to be any crossover? Are there going to be people that aren't wrestling fans that just are Netflix people and watch whatever the hot new Netflix show is, watch this, and are they going to turn around and watch any wrestling? I mean, I could, in a way, could you see someone going from watching this on Netflix and going, I wonder whatever wrestling's on Netflix, and then, starting up Lucha Underground because it's on there?
I think they would have to have, personally, a boyfriend or a girlfriend that's into wrestling to give them that extra push. I don't think it's a natural progression.
I think that a lot of people that are checking out Glow or just Netflix people, I think a lot of people actually have experience watching wrestling, especially from the Attitude Era. Anytime I talk to somebody about wrestling, they always mention, oh yeah, I used to watch, Stone Cold and The Rock and, people like that. So maybe this can nudge back that old interest for them and re-spark, what they're trying, re-spark a love of wrestling that they used to have.
I'm going to say Conor McGregor let out, I don't remember if it was last year or it was this year. I'm really horrible with timelines, but he went on some rant about how I like the wrestling back with The Rock and Stone Cold. All these dudes are goofballs and stuff. And that's a lot of the opinion that we get now. And it's just because, you had this little period of time where a lot of people, right after The Rock retired, then Brock Lesnar went away and Goldberg went away, there was this period of time where everybody kind of took a hiatus from wrestling. I did not, of course, because I'm weird. But there was they took a hiatus from wrestling, and what in the opinion is, when you don't watch it, you come back and you don't know a lot of the guys that are there now. And what they don't realize is Stone Cold, The Rock, all those people they weren't overnight success. They put in a lot of years and a lot of work into wrestling. If it wasn't for Stone Cold, we wouldn't have had The Rock, because The Rock's character was kind of built on his rivalry with Stone Cold. So he was the opposite of Stone Cold. He was big and flashy versus Stone Cold being the blue collar guy, just like what Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair were to each other. So it was definitely what was missing, and it's kind of what's missing now. And kind of what's missing now in wrestling, and you see So, in a lot of ways, he said it the wrong way, but McGregor is right, and his opinion was what a lot of people's opinions are. I would always tell people, if you want the Glow experience, well, go check out your local indie shows, because a lot of indie shows, because they don't, some have continuous storylines, but a lot of times you get the beginning, end, and middle of a storyline that night, which is going to be closer to what you get from Glow.
I totally agree. As you all know, that I have personal experience with this concept because of my involvement with our local indie Blow, Balthazar's Legends of War. And I'm going to get a quick plug in. August 27th at the Blue Note, Legends of Music. All right, Dead Legends of Music. At that, I'll be wrestling as Kurt Cobain. We have Prince, Chris Cornell, Selena, Johnny Cash, just a ton of crazy characters lined up, all ready to kick each other's asses. So go check us out on Blow OKC on Facebook.
And great news, I will be in the building for that. 2 weeks from now, I am not going to be anywhere, which is very rare. So I will definitely be there.
Fantastic. Hope to see you.
Excellent. That sounds great, man. I'm going to do my best to get there as well. So a lot of stuff happened. Well, actually, you know what? Not a whole lot of stuff has happened from what I can tell, though I've had my head in the sand. I mean, Charlottesville's on fire, but that's a whole other story. Where do you guys want to start?
You know what? Let's start at the beginning of a week. We're looking at 6 days ago, Monday Night Raw. It had another great opening. I mean, they might not do a lot in the middle of the show. They have been killing the opening over the last 2 months.
So, admittedly, I did not watch Raw or SmackDown this week, so you guys are going to have to bring me up to speed.
Okay, well, at the beginning of the show, it's Miz TV. His guest this week was supposed to be Kurt Angle's son, Jason Jordan. Miz gets out in the middle of the ring, and the music hits, and it's Brock Lesnar. And Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar make their way to the ring, and he stand in the ring, and before Paul Heyman could get out his opening monologue as he usually does, here comes the Miz that interrupts him, and he goes into his monologue, and it was one of the few people that can go, I feel mic to mic with Paul Heyman, the Miz, and he cuts this promo, and it was really good. Dave, I will suggest, if you ever in this situation again where you can't watch Raw, watch the first 15 minutes. They've been killing it. They've been trying to get people to, turn on the channel for the first 15 minutes. Paul Heyman goes into his promo, does his thing, and he does. For tonight, we're going to have a little role play. And you knew something was going to happen because Maurice just inexplicably gets out of the ring, and he goes, The Miz. I don't remember who was who, but he says basically the three of them are Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns, and we're going to get a little preview of what's going to happen at SummerSlam. And Brock Lesnar just runs through all three of them. They all get to go to Suplex City.
One of the best things, too, was whenever Brock suplexed The Miz into the Miztourage, too. Just absolutely leveled all three of them in one fell swoop.
And the great thing about the Miztourage is you have two of the best workers in the company with Axel and Bo Dallas, and you could tell, they really, it's funny in wrestling, it's easy to look good, but to make other people look good, especially Brock Lesnar, the way they sold those suplexes and looked like it looks like they were dead. And it was just some great role playing. It really did the best to make Brock look as strong as possible. And it just, like I said, it was a very exciting opening of Raw. It's like when I'm at work, I generally, that 15 minutes, I'm like, just give me 15 minutes uninterrupted, just so I can watch the beginning of that show.
Really, and especially one of the better storylines, too, with Brock Lesnar, as far as we may not be seeing him for a very long time after this. I could see anybody walking out of that match at SummerSlam with the title. And if it's not Brock, if he's really going to make his way back to the UFC, then we really got to appreciate these moments with Brock and especially Paul Heyman.
So something I think that Floyd brought up to me off air that I'll wait to bring up when we do our SummerSlam predictions, which we're going to do since Floyd will be traveling next week, and we might not have a chance to do a show. We haven't figured out the logistics of that yet, or it might just be me prattling on. But there's something I want to bring up. I had an idea for the main event, which I'm assuming that's going to be the main event, because I highly doubt Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura is going to headline SummerSlam. But I will check this out. One thing I'm really glad about with the Miztourage is I'm glad that Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, but especially Bo Dallas, have something to do. And it's something new, especially with Bo. Bo looks completely different. He's doing a new thing. He actually kind of looks like a badass. And I love Bo Dallas. One of the funniest things I have ever seen in wrestling, if not on television, period, was when after he lost his Loser Leave Town match in NXT, and he came back as Mr. NXT with the mask and had a match against Sami Zayn, which he lost, and the mask came off. And then the security guards came out and dragged him out of the building, and then they chased him around Full Sail, and it was hysterical. I think the segments are still up on YouTube somewhere. Some of the funniest shit I have ever seen in my life. And Bo Dallas, he was just one of those guys. There's some guys that you look at and you're like, okay, this works in Full Sail. Is this going to work on Monday Night Raw or on Raw or on SmackDown? And just on the flip side, there are people that don't work in Full Sail but work on Raw. Elias Sampson, for example. So Bo, I think, is a guy who was hampered by that. Plus, I think he got up there and Vince was like, "What the fuck is this? I don't know what to do with this guy," and just pushed him off to the side somewhere. So I like seeing Bo doing something.
And it's one of the examples of something I brought up when sometimes when you bring them up from NXT, it's clear their character from NXT is not going to translate, and they should probably debut with a new character. Bo Dallas was one of those people. I think he started growing his hair and growing his beard because I had heard Bray Wyatt was really pushing for him to become a Wyatt, Bo Wyatt, that kind of thing, and they went a whole nother way with it, which is, good. I mean, like I said, as long as he's on TV, him and Curtis Axel, really talented workers, should be rewarded for being really talented workers.
Well, I think the problem with Bo Dallas wasn't that his character didn't translate. I thought everybody loved his character on television. The problem is right whenever he was getting real heat, the smarmy running around the ring, knocking over El Torito, just so full of himself, they cut the legs right from under him whenever they had him lose to R-Truth for no reason. He had a streak going on. He's trying to get to 21 and Bo to try and just have a rib at The Undertaker, and they never get to that for some reason. And then they just take him completely off television. They'll bring him back every now and then, but now since he has grown his beard out, grown his hair out, and since you can't see how chubby and weird body shape he has, it's so much better for him. Curtis, I don't know if he's ever going to get it. I don't think they're ever going to give him an actual shot. I think, they tried to have Paul Heyman be his manager, but people just weren't buying into it at all. He has the great lineage, but, I can't see myself finding him believable as someone who could actually win any given match right now.
Yeah, he needs about 25 pounds more muscle. And if you're going to compete as a heavyweight, I wouldn't mind him in a cruiserweight division. I feel like right now the cruiserweight division is really missing that Dean Malenko type character that really gets over the high flying of the other people. And I think Axel could help with that. But as long as he's in the Miztourage and as long as it's working, I don't want them to break up the Miz Taraj for no reason. I feel like they've done that. Like I did feel like they did it with Alex Riley and the Miz. They didn't really have a plan for Alex Riley after the Miz, so why do the breakup? They did the same thing with Mizdow and the Miz. They didn't have a plan for Damien Sandow after the whole Miz, so why break them up? To me, it's like, don't break the group up that's working unless you have a plan for something to do after they're working.
And plus, excuse me. And plus, whenever Sandow eventually started getting over by himself instead of the Miz, WWE never stands for that stuff. Just take Zack Ryder and see how hot he was, and then where is he right now? They really didn't want Sandow to be a star, unfortunately, because he really was one of the most talented characters they had, whether he was doing Mizdow or his Savior of the Masses gimmick. Just an incredible talent, and I really wish he was still on my television every Monday.
Sometimes I wonder, because this company is so weird. It's like they hire these people, and then it's almost like they do everything to make sure they don't succeed, which means either I think the individual piss someone off in the back, or someone just doesn't like them. Vince just doesn't get it, which is a huge, huge problem. Or sometimes I think they hire people just so other people can't have them because they're that petty. And I really think to myself, how much money are y'all leaving on the table by not really using these people to their fullest potential? Sandow is a great example. Not that he's lit the world on fire since he left. His TNA run was like not there, and it hasn't worked. But he could have been something special because he is really, really talented. And they just, for whatever reason, they didn't see it in him. And so they essentially buried the guy. And when you're a guy who's getting that much reaction, why don't you run with it? I mean, really, if people are that into it, and you could probably put out a shirt and they start selling, why not, man? Why not? Yeah. There's so much of this mentality of, we know what's best for you that appears to come from this company. Obviously, none of us were working inside Titan Tower, so we don't know what the hell goes on in those dark corners. But everything, it appears that they have this mentality of, we know what's best, we're going to tell you what you need to like, and we don't care what you think. And only a very few times has the crowd really changed things. CM Punk is one, Daniel Bryan is one, and because you just look at Roman Reigns, man. They are going to give us the medicine that they know we want, whether we tell them we want it or not. And yeah,
I'm
whatever.
just saying, but you have to think about, devil's advocate, you have to think about WWE as a corporation. Are you going to reward the guy that's always giving you the middle finger and saying everything you do is stupid? Are you going to reward the guy that kisses the babies, that go out there and is a good face for your company? And you have to think of it that way, because that's how they think of it. Roman Reigns, from everything I can tell, is like a model employee. And he does have a look that kids like and women like. So you are going to push him to a certain level. What I have found, my problem with the product, is the evolution of the character. To me, Roman Reigns' character is the exact same character he's been playing since he was in the Shield. And it's like, you have to evolve, because in this world, with YouTube, with all the social media, characters get stale quickly. That's why Jericho is always going to resonate with the crowd, because every time he comes back, he does something a little different. He changes a little thing about his presentation. If you're expecting Ayatollah or Rock and Roller, he's not going to give it to you. And then one night, he's just going to break it out, and everybody's going to pop. And it's just, what is missing in wrestling is the evolution. Think about when Triple H debuted to who Triple H is now. Shawn Michaels' debut to who he was at the end of his character. The Rock's debut to who he was at the end of the character. Roman Reigns' debut to who he is now, same guy.
Yeah, you mentioned the evolution of Roman Reigns. There hasn't been any.
And that's what I'm saying. It's just, that's what people hate.
And you look at the other guys in the Shield, and both have evolved. One turned into a prop comic, and the other is basically a smiling, oh man, I can't believe I screwed everyone over babyface.
Yeah, and it was just with Seth Rollins, the reason it wasn't done right is because, just remember, when you look at The Rock, I use him as an example because when he went heel to when he went big face, there was always this moment. The heel turn, the face turn is always supposed to be this big thing. It's not supposed to be you just come back and be a face, You're supposed to have this moment where you save someone that's getting beat up. You save a Sami Zayn or someone like that that's getting picked on, and that's your face turn. Like I just couldn't sit back and let that happen. And that's what happens with face turns, and that's this big moment that gets the crowd behind you. What they've been doing recently, AJ Styles, for example, he just kind of quietly went from being a heel to a face. Seth Rollins quietly went from being a heel to a face. The only way he was a face is because Triple H screwed him over. It wasn't that he decided, everything I've been doing is horrible. It was just he picked Kevin Owens over me. Now I'm a face.
And the problem too with Roman Reigns is that whenever your top baby face is getting booed and a gigantic 7-foot behemoth is getting cheered because he's throwing that baby face into an ambulance and chucking it over, or just as we saw this week, throwing an office chair right in his mush, there's a problem there. And Roman Reigns needs to either embrace it like he does in private interviews where he just kind of subtly shits on the fans and says he's here to make money just like Brock Lesnar, or he needs to go just lose, just lose every now and then. Go back to a secondary title run, retool your character, and get the crowd back on your side, because he is a fantastic talent and a great look, as we have said, but there's no evolution in his character. He's still just the big, handsome dude that's got a spear and go ooh-ah and jump and punch you in the face, and that's going to be his matches. He has a great family that he could get advice from. Call up The Rock. Do something. Get good on the mic. Suffer and succotash. Tater tots is not going to get you over with the fans.
No, and in his defense, that was all written by Vince McMahon, which just goes to show how out of touch that 70-year-old man is.
And it goes to show that he shouldn't have been in that situation anyways. He should have worked on his mic skills so Vince isn't writing his promos for him.
Yeah, and let me tell you, his mic skills aren't that bad. If you go back on those old NXT shows on YouTube, when he was the Roman Leakey character, the LeBron James of professional wrestling, those promos came off as very natural. His heel promos, where he is just better than everybody else, I thought was very, very natural. He came off, it's like he actually thinks that, and it's like, let that guy loose. People hate him. Let them.
Yeah, I agree.
Because just telling people how great you are, turns you into a heel. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to diss people. You don't have to say anything. Just talk about how awesome you are, and people hate that.
Yeah, because people hate assholes. So
people hate assholes. People hate people that not only are good, but tell you how good they are. They want the false humility. All you have to do is take the humility away from Roman Reigns and just let him be a douche and get him out of the Shield gear.
God,
because
yes.
He's played out.
Yeah,
I think we had the same conversation a couple weeks ago when I was on about his stupid ring gear. And and the same freaking music too.
Yeah, nothing has changed about Roman Reigns, and that is what people hate. I mean, I know you caught gold or whatever with John Cena, and you didn't have to change what he wore for years. That's great, but just because it works for John Cena, just because it may have worked for Hulk Hogan, doesn't mean it has to change. I mean, doesn't mean it has to stay the same. Doesn't have to mean it works for Roman Reigns. The Rock, never wore the same thing after years. I use him because he was such a different example of what the WWE had as a top guy before. He was Hollywood, when he was the Hollywood Rock, and it just worked out. So I'm just like, play up on that. Give people something different, because if you keep giving them the same thing, that is what's going to drive wrestling fans away. And they're not going away from wrestling. They're just going to indies. They're just going to New Japan. They're just going to PWG. They're watching Progress on TV. It's so many more options that the WWE can't just say, screw you.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, I mean, with New Japan coming in, having a much bigger presence in America with those G1 specials, and then you just get these series of matches, these Okada Omega matches, which I want to talk about Okada Omega 3 later. Holy crap. I mean, but we'll get to that. So anything else on Raw that was interesting or noteworthy?
Yeah, there was actually a few things on Raw. They did the whole Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins gimmick, and of course Seth Rollins tried to hold up the Shield fist last week, so of course Dean Ambrose had to do it this week. And since Dean Ambrose dissed Seth last week, Seth had to diss Dean Ambrose this week. It was just such one of those things that I wanted to bring up because it's a problem with the WWE. You get into these same type of storytelling grooves that I know I've been watching wrestling a long time, but I think someone that's been watching it less than 3 years would have been like, oh, okay, he did that to them. It's such a 50-50 booking type thing. So it was ridiculous to me. I thought it was stupid.
I disagree. I think it's more of a, fucking get it over with thing. They're just edging us so hard right now, and they've been doing it for weeks. That promo that Seth cut a couple weeks back where he turned his back to Dean, who had the chair, and asked him to do it, asked him to hit him. He showed real humility in that moment, and it makes me wonder where the hell Roman Reigns is in this, too. He couldn't really care about his Shield brothers. He never really cared about Dean anyways. But I want them to get back together, and whenever they finally pull that trigger, it's going to be absolutely tremendous. I cannot wait for that moment.
I can't honestly say wrestling is moments. So if that's what they're definitely building up to that moment. I mean, it will be to me when Seth Rollins actually goes face.
On the other hand, if they actually never do it, like Dean holds that grudge his entire career, much like an Owens or Zayn type thing, I could be happy with that also.
Well, I mean, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens did team up to save Pat Patterson in Montreal recently at a house show.
Aw.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, no. I was very angry with that.
See, I like that. I think there's potential in playing out at some point they end up on the same side. Hell, I'd even like maybe them to be in a faction together at some point. And it's a real tenuous relationship, and it would need to be a long story. Make it a tenuous thing, a group that's together for like a year or so. And then at the end, Kevin Owens turns on Sami again dastardly, and boom, you've got, a hot WrestleMania match there that people will go nuts for, because you got these two guys who have this amazing chemistry together. You have them feud, you separate them, you keep them apart for a while, you let them become friends again for a while, then you have one turn on the other, and then they feud again. And you can do this over and over and over, and you put enough space in between it, and it's always going to be great.
You know what? I agree. I mean, I agree. To me, because it would be different, and anything that's different, I'm for. I even said there's certain times where it can be someone I absolutely hate. If you push them in a different way, I can get behind it, because the same is what's killing the WWE.
Agreed. So anything else on Raw? Anything else we need to...
I saw my first ever triple threat match that was basically a squash match. It was Nia and Mickey and Dana Brooke, and it was the squashiest of squash matches. And it was, 3 people. Usually they try to at least build the concept of a triple threat match. Like Mickey and Dana would attack Nia to, really, really go after her. No, she just pretty much destroyed the 3 of them. I feel sad for Mickie James because she was brought back with so much fanfare, and then she just kind of taken a back role. And I don't know if they're just using her as a mentor, but what would help is her and Dana Brooke being together, definitely with her working. Right now, they're doing a thing on the network and an after show where they're teasing Dana Brooke, basically begging to be in the Titus brand. And I was like, is there not one person that goes against the Titus brand more than Dana Brooke? Because he has these two great workers in Apollo Crews and Tozawa, who really can't get themselves over on the mic. That's perfect. But then you're going to bring in this person that doesn't have a lot of talent. It looks like she's going to this character called Country Strong, Dana Brooke, and I'm like,
gross.
I don't like it. I
could putting her with them because she's such a good mouthpiece, and because she is excellent on the mic. I mean, her with Evil Emma, I wish they hadn't broken those two up. But she's so good on the mic. I could see her working with Titus, and Titus could be, helping her with her mic skills while he's helping get these other two over, and they could help her with her in ring. They could all work together, and it would be different.
Yeah, it would definitely be different. I'm just like, I was really high on Dana in NXT when she first started, and I've mentioned this several times, so I'm pretty sure people are tired. It's just that she's regressed. She has seemingly gotten worse, which I think is the weirdest thing ever.
There's nothing that really sets her apart is the problem. And, she just looks like any other women's wrestler. There's no reason to really, get into her character because I don't know what her character is. She just shows up every now and then and gets beat and then takes her check and drives to the next city. As far as Mickie James goes, I think you're completely correct as far as being in a mentor role for the other ladies in there. I don't think she really is concerned with if she's winning or losing matches. I think she's just happy that she doesn't have to wrestle down at Crossroads Mall anymore like she was about 6 months ago.
Yeah, I agree. Getting the check is better than not. So, all for you on that, Mickie James, but it's just like, SmackDown does a great job of getting their whole women's division over. I wish Raw did a better job of it. It was because you saw those two triple threat matches. You was like Sasha Banks and Nia Jax were going to win. And you were looking at those matches and you were like, anybody but Sasha, anybody but Nia, because it would just be different.
Mickie can still have incredible matches. Let's not forget her match against Asuka before she was brought back proper, and they really should have kept her on SmackDown, in my opinion, too.
Yeah.
I might have kept her in NXT.
And she was the one that they actually let get offense and have a match with Asuka that you could show could wrestle, because before then, she didn't really sell. She just kind of beat the crap out of the other people, and it was like Mickie was really that person that they let actually, put up competition, and everybody was like, hey, why isn't Mickie on the roster? And like, she should have never left the roster. She's always been a great worker. And then the Braun Strowman-Roman Reigns last man standing match. One of the better last man standing matches I've seen in a very long time. The spot everyone's talking about is Roman running at Braun and Braun throwing an office chair at Roman's head. He's like, there's no more unprotected headshots. That was the closest thing to one that you'll ever see. And he a man threw an office chair like it was nothing.
It was definitely one of the more hilarious chair spots I've ever seen.
Right in his face. And it was like, it looked like Roman was kind of trying to knock it down, and he took it straight on, and it was like, fuck.
And the best part about it too is it was really unexpected. Braun was over at that spot a little to the left of the announce tables, where they ring the bell, and the timekeepers area. So we thought it was just going to be another spear through that little piece of the wall that separates that. So whenever that chair comes out of nowhere, I popped, I laughed, it was fantastic. I don't think Roman actually put his hands up on that either. So At least he's getting, a soft part of the chair thrown at him. But still, that's a lot of chair to run right face first into.
Yeah, when people say wrestling's fake, I want to show them that. Fake that.
It's predetermined, but it ain't fake.
He just threw a chair at him. You fake it. I want you to pick up an office chair and throw it at your friend and just tell me how it's fake.
But remember a couple years back, it had shades of whenever Ryback picked up the Miz's couch and just threw it at him outside the ring.
Yeah, it's like
your couch.
I'm saying, man. Roman Reigns had a headache at the end of that night because he got a chair threw at his head. I was like, come on.
Was that the finish of the match?
No. The finish of the match was Roman Reigns did a run down the aisle spear on Braun Strowman, and they started counting. And he got to 8, and Samoa Joe came out of the crowd and put Roman Reigns in a sleeper and put him to sleep. And then the referee had them both down. The referee started counting, and Braun Strowman got up at 8. But actually, Braun Strowman got up at 30 because when the ref was at 8, Braun Strowman never moved. And he was like, it's a no DQ match. Why didn't you just keep counting Braun Strowman? But then my friend Ryan Schwimmer on the club, he brought up the fact that, you know what, pretty much any action is going to stop the ref's count. So he did stop the ref's count. But Braun Strowman was down for about 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah, we got to keep kayfabe here, all right? Whenever someone just comes from the crowd and attacks one of the competitors, the ref has got to get a hold of that situation, fellas.
Yeah, and he choked him out, and then Braun Strowman won, so Braun Strowman beats Roman Reigns again, because in all their big matches, like ambulance match and everything, Roman Reigns has been losing to Braun Strowman. I don't remember it's been a few months since Roman's got a clean win over Braun.
No, but he has tried to murder him.
Yeah, he did try to murder him. But he was, Braun did try to murder Roman first. I'm just saying.
Sure.
Can we just take a moment and just sit back and look and marvel at how surprising it is that this is one of the best feuds of the year. On paper, Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman looks so boring, but these two guys actually have great chemistry with one another. I'm still pulling for Braun just because I think he's fantastic, and for all the reasons we previously discussed is why I'm not rooting for Roman in this. But every single time they get together, there is a moment that you always remember, whether it's the ambulance tipping over or the chair in the face. There's always something. Or the attempted murder. There's always something that these guys pull out of one another. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and you know what? It goes to show, because you saw them, the picture went around of them being friends. It's like, you have to know that. You have to... The best rivalries in wrestling are generally people who get along in real life, because you're willing to let your friend go a little further than someone that you don't like. And the amount that they get away with, like the chair to that head, I don't think he trusts any other wrestler to do that. And I don't think he trusts anyone else's timing to do that. Braun Strowman is a monster, so of course he has... he has a control over that chair that not a lot of other people will be, because he is so freaking strong. But it's just, there is a trust that goes there, because that chair goes a little higher, a little lower. Dude has a concussion. He tears ACL if it doesn't get there, and he ends up tripping over the chair. Man, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. There's a lot of trust involved with that spot.
Something also to think about is how honestly green Braun Strowman is. He, in the last probably, 3 years, he's easily the most improved wrestler probably in the world. At one point I thought Baron Corbin was one of the most improved wrestlers, and now you just compare Corbin and Strowman, and there's no comparison. Strowman is, not only, he's literally heads above Baron Corbin, but his progression, his in-ring ability, even on the mic. I can't stand Baron Corbin on the mic, but that's because I just don't like his voice. But Corbin has improved or not Corbin, Strowman, from when he first showed up, because that first time in that match with the Wyatts and going against who is it, Dean and somebody in Jericho, and he just showed up out of nowhere. People were like, "Who the fuck is this?" And he was so green and so not good. And he is just, now he's really fun to watch. He's really good, and I'm really looking forward to the SummerSlam main event.
I was listening to, I think it was Talking Shop, or maybe it's Jericho's podcast a bunch of months ago. He had Braun on. He told a story about he did something wrong in a match, and Vince was really upset about it. So he took him and was like, "Hey, don't do that again." Next match, he goes out and does it again, and Vince is absolutely livid at this point. Triple H goes to Vince and he's like, "Vince, give him a break. This is literally his 4th match on television ever. He only had about 4 before this. He's learning, and he's shown a lot of potential, and what Dave said about him being the most improved, I fully endorse that."
Yeah, I can agree. Braun Strowman is quickly becoming one of my favorite wrestlers, and you know what? He's like, when a big man, when trained right, when booked right, this is what you get. They've missed so many times on people over the years. Nathan Jones, Heidenreich. You can just go through the list of giant guys that they came in and they didn't know what the hell to do with. They have hit the right tone with Braun Strowman. They have not missed a lot with this man. And, the monster among men, it fits perfectly, and this guy works really well, and he doesn't try to work outside himself. He's not out there trying to throw moonsaults. He's like, "Hey, I'm a 7-foot strong man. I'm going to be a 7-foot strong man," and it works.
Let's not forget, though, he can kip up, which is something I can't even do. So good for you, Braun Strowman.
Yeah, and he did some almost flippy stuff in that one match against the Big Show. So.
Yeah, and that's the person you do that against. And he's not going to, Big Show's time is, limited, so he doesn't have a lot of people he's going to be able to do that with. I'm imagining Cass will be able to handle it, but it's going to be very few and far between, and it's great to see. He is an athlete, and that's great to see and great to know. He's not the great Khali. He's not a big old tree. He's a wrestler. He's a 7-foot wrestler.
Well, how about SmackDown this week?
SmackDown. Let's SmackDown your vote. SmackDown. Yeah, they honestly wasn't that memorable as far as an episode. We got John Cena, Baron Corbin. That was announced for SummerSlam very quickly. It was just like John Cena over there. Then we had our boys, the Usos, and they came out and they wrestled Sami Zayn and Ty Dillinger, which I have to ask, is that the most babyface tag team of all time?
That might be. Whitest of white meat.
Yeah, that's just white meat. Super babyface. Of course, the Usos win. And then in a play from last week to this week, the New Day comes out in all red. They're kind of dressed like the Usos. And then they jump the Usos and beat them up. And they're trying to put them through a chair. And then, of course, the Usos escape. But it was just kind of funny because they did the flip. It showed an aggressive side of the New Day that you haven't seen in a very long time. Charlotte, it was funny. Charlotte beat up Lana, and it was like they kind of teased. It was a very easy match for her, how she had no problems with Lana. And then they did it after the match they had with Lana and they, what's her name? Serena.
Tamina?
Yeah. I honestly, it was such a, it wasn't a forgettable, such a forgettable person. Tamina is such a forgettable person. They had this match where she was like, or backstage segment where she's like, well, wrestling skill didn't get you 3 shots in a row, so what you're going to do is help me get mine. And it was like you thought Tamina was going to be Lana's sidekick. That's what you really thought. And then now it looks like Lana's about to be Tamina's sidekick.
Can I just ask a question right now? It's a simple question. Why the fuck are they having Lana be a wrestler?
Because she wants to be a wrestler.
Well, maybe she should learn how to wrestle.
Let me be her. Pretty much, let me be a wrestler, or I'll go away. And look at her. She does not need the WWE as a vehicle. I'm not saying the WWE needs her, but she really doesn't need the WWE.
Yeah.
So it's much, I want to wrestle, let me wrestle, or pretty much release me like you did Eva Marie.
Well, what is she going to do? Can she act? I mean, yeah, she's attractive. Was she going to find someone to sponsor her Instagram feed? Which I can't believe that's a fucking thing, but whatever.
They got her over on Total Divas.
Oh, criminy. Yeah, well, there's that.
Just look at Eva Marie. She's booking acting gigs left and right. She doesn't, she is beautiful,
See, I don't get the Eva Marie thing.
What kind of movies is she going to be in? And she's definitely not going to be in the ones that I would prefer to be in. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's just going to be some, sci-fi, straight to TV, Sharknado 12 thing.
But they pay money. When you get to that point, that's what you're in it for, And if you do 20 movies, you're getting paid 20 checks, It's not like...
I have a theory that she's just some sort of crazy, weird, red mantis lady from outer space anyways. If you look at her Snapchat, she is just an odd person. She's always posing into the selfie video or something. It's just something... People aren't supposed to be that hot. That's the problem.
I don't even think she's that attractive.
Like I said, I was going to say that with you. I'm not really attracted to Eva Marie, but she is classically attractive. It's something I can, she is classical. She is what people look for when they look for attractive women. That's what I'm not.
That's why I have the theory. It's what an alien assumes humans think is attractive, but it's just not getting it right. There's just something weirdly off about it.
Yeah, she does nothing for me, but hey, whatever. She's actually booked for 2 movies right now. One was called Inconceivable that it comes out today. Comes out this year, and then something called Action Number 1 that comes out next year. I'm just imagining she's never probably going to win an Oscar or anything, but you can just rack up film credits. That's money.
Did anyone else just think of The Princess Bride and Inconceivable?
I totally did. I immediately heard that in my head. And if I was technically savvy enough, I would have had that ready to go and just hit play. Inconceivable. Love that movie. That is, can we just all say how amazing The Princess Bride is as a film, as it's so good. And
I didn't see it for my first time until about 5 years ago.
Wow.
One of the sweetest, heartwarming stories I've heard about Princess Bride is that Andre was so proud of his work in that he would just call up, his buddies and say, come over to my house. We're watching Princess Bride. And he would play it over and over. Anytime somebody went to his house, he would play Princess Bride for him just because he loved that movie so much.
He was great in that.
That's awesome to hear. It's awesome to hear when people are proud of their work. It was a great movie. Had one of my favorite actors of all time, Billy Crystal, in it. When I watched it, I was 30. I was 29, 30 when I watched it for the first time, and it absolutely held up. And it absolutely was a great movie, and I immediately went out and bought it. And it's on my Vudu because I love that movie. I do. Anytime I just catch it on TV, I end up watching the rest of it, no matter what I had planned to do that day.
It's definitely one of those movies that if you find it on cable, no matter where you're at in it, the next hour to an hour and a half is booked for you.
Exactly. Well, anything else on SmackDown worth talking about?
Shane McMahon did his rules of engagement, and the reason it was funny because it was at this point where Kevin Owens kept showing video clips. And first he shows a video clip of AJ Styles beating the crap out of Shane McMahon. You know, that after SmackDown thing where he beat him up by his car. And he's like, so aren't you worried about Shane McMahon screwing you over? Because he's had a history of it in the past. And they showed a match where Shane McMahon was the special guest referee and he screwed over Mankind. So it was kind of, I love the WWE, you know, hey, stuff that happened in the past actually still happened, showing a little continuity error, and you had this kind of smarky or whatever, snarky AJ Styles is like, Shane knows what will happen if he screws me over, and then you see Shane like, I know what's going to happen, and it was just kind of funny because by the end of it, KO and AJ starts going at it, and AJ does his Pele kick, and of course he doesn't see who's behind him, and he kicks Shane McMahon in the head, and it's awesome because it was just a different take on it. Because when they announced the whole rules of engagement thing, I was like, this is stupid, and it ended up, but KO does his KO thing, and he made it work, and it was pretty cool because it set up a whole dissension. Does Shane hate AJ as much as he hate KO? And it added a different layer for the SummerSlam match.
And you got to wonder if this is still going to bleed at some point to a Kevin Owens Shane McMahon match, or if this is going to be as close as we're going to get.
And then we had the return of one of my favorite SmackDown characters, the Big Hog.
Yes.
James Ellsworth, Carmella and Naomi are in a match. Naomi's going for a high-flying maneuver. Big Hog James Ellsworth comes out of the crowd, pushes Naomi down, and Carmella finishes her off with a kick to the head. So Carmella and James Ellsworth go away, and he even calls it, funny on Instagram, he calls it his Money in the Bank, or our Money in the Bank. It's never Carmella's Money in the Bank. It's how they both are Money in the Bank, which I think is great, and I think when James Ellsworth got signed, I was like, well, after he loses to AJ Styles, what are they going to do with him? And this is one of those few times where the writers, Carmella, I don't know who came up with it, they actually came with a continuous storyline and stuck to it. And I like it.
This guy has overperformed in every single role he is given. And it goes back to what we were talking about the indies. You know, you're not going to have, continuous storylines. He ran that promotion in Baltimore, and he played whatever character was needed at the time. So that's why he can bounce around, do whatever is needed from the company. He looks weird. He's got a really hateable face that doesn't even have a chin. That Offspring tattoo is hideous also. And the way Carmella dresses him up, just everything about it is so fantastically hateable for a guy that we really were rooting for in the beginning. He's having the time of his life right now, and I could not be more happy for him.
Can I also just add that the Offspring is awful? Just on a side note.
That's a band?
Yes.
Yeah, they're pretty fly for a white guy, Floyd.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, well, never mind.
See, I forget that they even did that. I'm like, I just immediately go back to 1994 and the "Keep 'Em Separated" song, and that stuff, and yeah, so they were a thing. But anywho, so anything else from SmackDown?
Last match, Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal. Of course, they couldn't let this feud end without Randy Orton actually getting one win. So the Singh brothers were out due to injury, which is hilarious because somehow in that same night, they had a Twitter post where Jinder Mahal was with Cal Penn and the Singh brothers taking a picture together, and then Singh brothers were gone due to injury. I was like, this is hilarious. Well, Randy Orton wins with the RKO. He's leaving out of the ring because he finally gets his win, and Rusev attacks him from the end, and that was exclusively on the WWE Network. They've been doing that kind of stuff to help with the setup and keep people engaged for the setup of Cruiserweight or the 205 Live, which, no one's still interested in. So that was the end of SmackDown.
Have they finally abandoned the purple ropes?
No. I mean, when you watch Cruiserweight show, it's purple.
Okay, but on Raw they don't bother.
They don't bother.
Okay. I'm sorry, Dan. What were you gonna say?
Well, I know that they've been doing this a while, and this isn't a WWE idea. I believe this is a NBC Universal idea. But having the show go to a split screen for commercials and seeing the whole show is such a cool concept, and I really like what WWE is doing with it. You know, whenever you go to a Raw or a SmackDown, you can tell very obviously whenever they're in commercial because everything just kind of slows down. They'll change who has the upper hand, you know. So whenever they come back, it'll be like, oh, and while we were gone, this guy, you know, did a drop kick, and now he's in charge of the match. You know, having the guys actually go out there and wrestle full matches with no weird little, you know, drop in quality or excitement, it makes it feel like a house show. And as I've said before, house shows are the most fun things you can actually go to. So kudos for SmackDown and kudos to NBC for trying that new concept out.
Yeah, good call. Well, at this point, we're going to go ahead and do our SummerSlam preview since we're not quite sure logistically what's going to happen next Sunday with the show. Next Sunday, a week from today, is the SummerSlam. And we're going to go over the card as it stands right now per Wikipedia, our good friends there. And so it looks like bottom of the card, John Cena versus Baron Corbin. Who you guys got?
I think they go with John Cena getting the win. He has been putting a lot of people over, I think, but you got to keep him a viable superstar. You can't have him lose every match, especially if they have this rumor right that he might be going to Raw for a little while. He has to go out on top, so John Cena beats Baron Corbin.
I go Cena, and to that effect, I think Corbin cashes in later in the night, much like Seth Rollins did at Mania 31.
I'm with you. I agree. Go ahead.
He does. I was just going to add, I'm hoping he doesn't cash it in, but go ahead, Dave.
Well, we've got then Finn Balor taking on Bray Wyatt. Does anyone care?
I do, because I'm hoping we get the return of the actual demon, and he comes out in the makeup, and he does his thing. I truly believe that is when Finn Balor's at his most charismatic. I feel like his performances go to another level when he's in the paint. Maybe it's just like the mental idea that he's becoming this demon character, and it's just I find him more entertaining when he's painted.
Yeah, I'm going with Prince also. I think the demon is the only person that can actually truly intimidate Bray at this point because they are very similar in their supernatural, you know, base. And, you know, back in the Indies, you know, Balor would come out whenever he's Prince Devitt. Balor would come out with a different character every match. I've seen him come out as the Joker before. I've seen him be wheeled out as Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs. I kind of miss that Finn doesn't get to do more things, more different things. But every time he does put on the paint for the Demon King, it is switched a little bit, and it gets even more demonic, to use the worst word that I could right there. It kind of grows on his skin. So maybe they are angling that the demon is slowly taking over Balor's character, and we might get to see another peek at that.
I hope so. I hope they do something a little bit different with the paint because generally speaking, and I mentioned this I think last week, whenever he's been the demon, it really hasn't been that different each time. Versus you see stuff he did on the Indies, you see stuff he did in New Japan. Like you mentioned, he was in full Joker regalia once, he was Hannibal Lecter, he was Venom. And now granted, a lot of this stuff you can't do because of copyright issues in the United States. But I think something needs to be done a little bit differently. But do you think Bray or Finn's going to actually win in this one?
I'm going with Finn, and I was going to say all they need to do to those costumes is CFO it up. Just make them enough where you can still tell it, but different enough where they can't sue you.
Oh, so like Jimmy Hart, the Nirvana song for DDP.
Yeah, so just do that with makeup.
Yeah, I really can't see Finn not beating Bray the jobber of matches, Wyatt.
Yeah.
Or as some people have called him, the eater of pins.
Yeah. More like the eater of hoagies.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have the Battle of the Big Guys. No, not Ryback, but the Big Show taking on Big Cass. Too many people with fucking big in front of their name. God damn it.
Big Dog.
Yeah, Big Cass is winning this. and Enzo's going to be a Shark Tank.
Do you think they're going to announce a retirement angle on Monday? Or are they going to say, now that he's up in the cage, Big Show, if I beat you, you have to go away, because he's supposed to retire after SummerSlam anyway.
I would rather him come out Monday and give some speech and say, you know what, I've been doing this forever. I got my ass handed to me last night, and it made me realize my time is done. I thank you for the years and support, and wish everyone the best of luck. And then Cass comes out and flattens him.
Yeah, I don't want to see him retire, because Big Show really is in the best shape of his life, and I've really been enjoying Big Show's matches lately. I hope if he comes out to speak to the crowd, that he's wearing a pink salmon suit.
What?
Okay,
Remember
I
Mark
didn't get
Henry
that.
came out in the pink salmon suit?
Oh, wow.
We're all a bunch of puppets.
That was such a obscure reference. I didn't even get it. I was like, what?
I hope he comes out and teases, but still sticks around, basically.
All right.
I get it. It just took me a minute.
I loved your what?
I'm listening, and I'm like, why? Why would he come out in a pink salmon suit?
That silence after I said that, it felt like 10 minutes of dead air.
My bad. Because it was like I was trying to put it all together. What? Why?
I was just thinking, well, that didn't land. On to the next topic, boys.
I wanted that. I was like, I just didn't get it. My bad.
All right, next up we have New Day taking on the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. I don't know. I mean, I kind of thought it was a little early to put the belt on the New Day when they did, but I think it'd be really stupid to take it off them now. I don't know.
See, and this is the one time I don't have a problem with the belts being bounced back and forth, because these teams have such chemistry and they put on such great matches. It'd be good for the Usos to get one up, and then the New Day maybe get the belts back, and then to have their long run at that point. Because if it's just the New Day, they just beat the Usos again. They don't really have anyone else in the company right now to really go into a rivalry with. So extend this 2 or 3 more months, maybe build up Rizongo some more, and so you have a new team for them to feud with. Otherwise, the belts go the way of pretty much like that second half of the New Day's run, where they were just kind of coming out and dancing and not really having anyone to compete against.
See, that's the thing, is a lot of people dislike the idea of, a match after match where the title just kind of hot potatoes from 2 competitors or a tag team or something like that. A lot of people were upset with the Charlotte and Sasha, how they did that. I look at it the other way. I look at it and see that these 2 teams are so evenly matched that in any match, either one of these guys could win. Anyone could go over with that. Have the match 10 times. You got to be 5-5 on that one. And especially after their incredible match at the last pay-per-view, which, by the way, I know you didn't ask for my opinion on it, but that pay-per-view was absolute dog shit. That tag match, though, was incredible, and I'm hoping that we get something like that coming for SummerSlam.
Yeah, good point.
I was just saying, I would completely agree with your point on that. We definitely agreed that pay-per-view was dog shit, but their match was the highlight of that. It was the A match of it. When teams have that type of chemistry, I am all about it. I love tag team wrestling. Me and Dave are big fans of tag team wrestling. So when you get 2 tag teams that really work well together, don't do the thing where you just say, oh, okay, we're going to put the New Day over. Hey, the Usos are a formidable tag team. I would like them to debut a third person. I don't know who would be. When I was thinking, just kind of brainstorming names early this week, maybe they could use Sean Maluta to try to just give him a, put his name out there again because he is a part of Samoan group. But I feel like they need a third person because it's clearly 3-on-2 every time.
Well, what they should have done is they really should have teamed them up with Roman and built a Roman empire, and they were his lackeys, because they even during the rap battle made a mention to that about them being basically Roman's bitches, and I mean that was they're going. Yeah. They went downhill in the eyes of the fans. People just got kind of bored with them, which is sad considering they were the best tag team that WWE had for a very long time. But then they started working with Roman Reigns, and the Roman hatred spilled to them. But
that's when they really turned on him, is when they started teaming with Roman Reigns. So the only way you could have done the Roman Empire is if you were going to turn Roman full heel, right? Because they hated the Usos because they teamed with Roman Reigns, and then the Usos actually used that to make themselves even more of an over heel. So like I said, to me, there's like a lot of third people that you can use because that family is so big but they do need a third person to even out the rivalry. And it would be like, remember when the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys were all in their feud, and then they all added that third person. Edge and Christian added Rhino, the Dudleys added Spike Dudley, and then of course Lita was with the Hardys. It just evolved that feud even more. So I'm like, if you were to somehow, whoever you decided it be, bring in a third person for the Usos, that would evolve that rivalry just a little bit more, and you could add a few more different types of matches.
And I like the idea of Sean Maluto, considering he is part of the family.
Yeah.
One match that is not listed on the Wikipedia page, but I think we're probably going to get on the Raw Tag Team side, Sheamus and Cesaro against Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. It does look like that's the direction they're going in, right, for the tag titles?
Definitely. I just, with as many legit tag teams as they have, I'm just hoping they use that Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose thing to build onto other rivalries or other things away from them being tag team champions, because you got too many legit tag teams to bring in pretty much just a one-time tag team and give them the belts.
Yeah, but the tag team roster is really light. I mean, with the Revival being out due to injury, it is really, really light. Oh my God! And did you guys see that someone? It was a meme someone made. It was the no flips, just fists. And they made it say no flips, just hospital trips.
Oh wow!
Oh my God! It was it was incredible.
You're gonna upset Floyd if you keep on going, Dave.
I know, and I love the Revival. I do. I think some of this has. I'm sorry. Say it again, Floyd.
Forever the Revival. That's all I say.
Yeah. Yes. I think some of this has to do with the Revival getting hurt. They really had nothing else to do with Dean and Seth, because they're not going to be on the top of the card. They're not involved with the IC title. So why not have them involved in the Tag Team Championship thing? Because if you think about back to the Attitude Era, how many kind of random tag teams would get for short periods of time involved with the tag team titles? Like main eventers would just get together in a Rock and Sock connection. Triple H and Stone Cold. They would occasionally have runs as tag champs. And I think that's a good thing to do, because whatever team beats them gets a big rub that you just beat two big-time main eventers.
One of those really great mismatched tag teams was Cena and Shawn Michaels whenever they were in the middle of a feud. That was a really interesting angle to that whole evolution of their rivalry. And, going back to the match itself, on paper, it looks fantastic. You have two former WWE champions that have legit beef, no trust between them, or just inklings of trust just now starting to bud, versus two guys who were forcefully put together and realized, hey, we're actually pretty good together. So you would think that the former champions could take this, but I'm saying that Cesaro and Shamo take this down, and it just starts to go for the Dean-Seth feud proper after this.
Well, it can only be a Dean-Seth feud if Dean turns heel. And now what would be kind of cool is if they finally did, down the line, reunite the Shield, and at that point, Dean snaps and just attacks both of them because he's, a lunatic kind of thing. But anyway, I think Sheamus and Cesaro are going to retain as well.
I'm going with Sheamus and Cesaro just because I hate the idea of specialty tag teams.
Even though Sheamus and Cesaro kind of are a specialty tag team.
No, they are not a specialty tag team. They got put together and they have become a legit tag team. The key is when you dress alike.
That's true. They started as a specialty tag team.
They started as a specialty tag team.
Yeah, it's like whenever you'd have X-Pac and Kane, or RVD and Kane, or Booker and Kane.
Sounds like a theme here. All right, well, next up we're going to have Randy Orton versus Rusev.
Does this scream pre-show to you?
You think Randy would be okay with being on the pre-show?
I don't think he'd be okay with it, but it just screams pre-show.
I think Randy would be okay with it. He does his match and he goes home. He's not going to stay for the rest of the show. He doesn't care.
He does not care at all. I don't think he cares about this match. I think Rusev barely cares about this match. Rusev's just glad to kind of be back. I honestly don't know who wins this match. They might go with a lengthy feud since Randy's not going to be in the title picture. But if I say that, I feel like Rusev wins, but he wins by DQ. Rusev loses by DQ, but is beating up on Randy at the end of the match to escalate the feud.
Is it just me, or whenever there's another Randy Orton feud, it doesn't matter who it's against, I just audibly groan. I'm just like, okay, now it's Orton and Rusev. Oh, it was Orton and Jinder a second ago. Okay, whatever. I never care about a Randy Orton feud.
Yeah, the one evolution Randy Orton had, and the best thing that he ever did, was being in the Wyatts. I thought that was so cool. I thought it was a refreshing take on this character. He comes out of that feud, and he just goes right back to being regular-ass, boring-ass Randy Orton.
Yeah. That whole time whenever he turned on Wyatt, it was exactly what you say. It's like, you thought I was one of your family. No, I'm still the same boring-ass Randy Orton. Bah.
Yeah, it was like a middle finger to the audience. You thought you were going to do something different. You thought, you were going to actually look forward to watching Randy Orton wrestle. Well, screw you. I'm boring, and that's who I am.
Yeah, you knew that was not going to last because it actually was good, and they tend to break up anything good really quickly.
Yeah, I would like to see them get back together on Raw, because I keep hearing the Superstar shakeup. I'd like to see them get back together on Raw, and maybe he kind of comes back and says, you know what, I found my dark side or something like that, and you know what, I was at my best when I was with you. So they come back as partners instead of enemies or something like that. Because, seriously, he just went right back to being shitty after that feud.
Well, I could see a situation where they become reluctant allies, where there's some team or somebody that's ganging up on both of them. And there's that whole thing where they're getting surrounded and they're backing up to each other, and then their backs hit and they turn around. They're like, "Oh, am I going to fight you?" And then next thing you know, they have to turn around to fight the other people, and then they have a stare down. kind of thing, and then it builds to them becoming a team again. Because God knows Bray Wyatt needs somebody on his side at all times.
And let's not forget too that the WWE really screwed up that whole thing with the WrestleMania match with the stuff projected on the ring and the House of Horrors fiasco. They had something good, and then they tried to line it up a little bit, Randy it up a little bit, and it just fell flat on its face.
Yeah, Randy walking down the aisle on top of a sperm wasn't very good either.
No, it was not.
So next up we have AJ Styles defending the United States Championship against Kevin Owens with Shane McMahon as a special guest referee. Yeah, I have no idea.
I want to see KO come out of this as champion, and I'd like to see AJ Styles go back up into the main WWE title contention, just because right now it just feels like the WWE title is a whole secondary title, and as much as it's okay because it's escalating in the United States Championship, it kind of burns my soul when a world title is looked at as a secondary title.
I kind of like the fact that the title that is really the important title right now on a WWE show is an old NWA title. That actually makes me happy. But yeah, there's no doubt which is the most important title right now. It's the one that AJ Styles and Kevin Owens are fighting over, because this Jinder Mahal experiment is failed. So speaking of Jinder Mahal with the Singh brothers, unless they're homesick, taking on Shinsuke Nakamura.
Let me slow down real quick, Dave. You kind of skipped over me there. If you do it again, I'll slap you in the face. I don't care whose show this is. You let the champ talk. All right? I don't have any idea who's going to win this match. If I had to say somebody, I would say AJ, but I will put this in writing. It will steal the show. Bottom line.
Yeah, I think they're going to escalate it. I feel like their last two matches have gradually gotten better, and I think they're going to really try to put on something special. I'm hoping to see that the second rope to top rope springboard moonsault from KO. It's probably my favorite move that he does in the WWE. I have to say in the WWE because they don't allow him to do package pile driver, but it is my favorite move because it just shows his pure athleticism when he does it. AJ Styles, he's just AJ Styles. That's all he has to be every match. He's just going to put on a match that steals the show. But you were going on to the next match, sir.
True, and Champ, forgive me. I did not mean to skip over you, and I really do not want to be slapped in the face by the Blow champion. So
make sure it doesn't happen again, jabroni.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. But one thing real quick, since you mentioned that you think this is going to steal the show, I think you're probably right. I think in their previous matches, they both have been holding back a lot. Because I went into both of those matches, or at least I know I've seen at least one of them, with higher expectations, and I just got the feeling like they're saving this. They're saving this for a bigger stage. And so, yeah, I'm not going to get my expectations too high because I don't want it to then not be great, but it's fucking AJ Styles. He pulled out a great match out of Shane McMahon, for Pete's sake. Like a thoroughly entertaining, one of the best matches of the night match. So.
Yeah, I think Shane's only going to add to the match. I think they're going to very much use him as a prop, and then Shane's great on his own. He's going to add a whole nother dimension to this match. That's why it'd be very cool in the end if KO comes out winning. But if he does lose, hopefully it sets up that feud with Shane McMahon.
Agreed. So Jinder Mahal and Shinsuke Nakamura. Here, just real quick, my thoughts. I think that Baron Corbin comes out before the match is over. He knocks out Shinsuke with a shot from the briefcase, then hits Jinder Mahal with the briefcase, cashes in, hits the end of days, and walks out with a belt.
That is what everyone thinks. So just because I want to be different, I think Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers find a way to get DQ'd, and then Baron Corbin cashes in on Jinder Mahal.
all I care about is that Shinsuke Nakamura kicks Jinder Mahal's head in at least a couple of times. I sense a lot of screwiness to this. There's definitely not going to be a clean finish. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm thinking Baron is the one that actually walks out of the arena with that title.
Yeah, I would prefer the title change or the cash-in happens on SmackDown, just because if it happens like during the middle of SummerSlam, I think it might be forgotten.
Yeah, and this is clearly not going to be anywhere near the top of the card, which is the problem when you have two world titles, especially when you have one of them that is being treated like a secondary belt. And in fact, it would not shock me if this match comes on before the AJ Owens match. But I like your idea, Floyd, of the Jinder and the Singhs get DQ'd. The thing of it is, I think that Shinsuke should not win. He should not win the title and then get cashed in on. That would just do no one any favors. And a DQ of some kind, either Jinder causing it or Baron Corbin coming in and causing it, saves face for everybody. The other thing that we have to worry about is how much effort is Shinsuke Nakamura actually going to give in this match, because he has been known to phone it in a lot. And
he's not going to phone it in at SummerSlam.
He's in there with Jinder Mahal, who's by all rights a super guy. Nice. He's a good personality. He's not a good worker.
But what I'm saying is he's the rock star. It's the big show of the summer. I think that's what's going to get him excited. The raucous crowd in Brooklyn is going to get him excited. I don't think it's who he's wrestling. I think it's the spot on the card. I think if he's not in the world title, if he's not in that picture, man, that's when he phones it in.
Let's keep in mind that he debuted in Brooklyn at TakeOver, so maybe he brings it out pretty heavy on this match. If anything, though, Shinsuke is definitely going to be one carrying it.
But didn't Nakamura debut in Dallas?
You know what? Hey, Dave, let me ask you something. How good are you at editing this podcast? Because you might want to yank that part out.
Well, he does it. He does it. Edit it.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. I will say that. But yeah, he debuted against Sami Zayn, and my friend Rusty's favorite match ever.
Easily Nakamura's best match since he's been in WWE was that match with Sami.
I didn't get it.
Yep.
Really?
I really didn't get it at all. I just thought it was a bunch of punching and kicking.
Oh my God.
I was like, this is boring.
The guy who says no flips, just fists. You're mad that it's just punches and kicks.
Oh, well, and when you watch the Revival, they wrestle. They say no flips, just fists, but they wrestle. I was like, I enjoy wrestling.
They haven't been wrestling much lately.
Ah, yeah, cheap shot. Oh, way to make fun of an injured man. You big man there.
Hey, hold on a second. I just dropped this mic. I gotta go find it real quick.
All right, so next up we have Neville defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Akira Tozawa.
In the pre-show world title.
I don't think it's time to take the belt off Neville yet.
Hey, you cannot take the belt off the king of the pre-show. Okay? This is what he does. When people are getting their food and stuff and not paying attention to the match, Neville beats up the other guy. And Tozawa has done nothing to make me think he's the guy that's going to take 205 Live to that next level. And in my opinion, whoever takes the belt to Neville is the guy that you're going to build even the brand to that next level. Neville is the perfect champion right now. Whoever you give it to after that needs to be a build on Neville. I don't think Tozawa's that guy.
Agreed. And in fact, I wouldn't mind it being Hideo Itami eventually. And I know that would be heel versus heel, but man, they would beat the piss out of each other.
And it's just one of those things. It's like Neville is going to keep winning to the point where he almost becomes a face.
Yeah.
Because that happens when heels hold the belt too long. It's like you generally become a face, and then you can kind of make him a face for him to fight with Itami. But it's just right now, Neville's the perfect champion for the Cruiserweight division. They need to make everybody else better. Everyone else needs to step their game up. I think the best guy that, if you really want to evolve the two Cruiserweight that they have on the roster now, who's working with 205 Live now, is Cedric Alexander.
I think they dropped the ball with the Cruiserweight division whenever they never gave Austin Aries a run with the title. There's one guy that I felt was believable and could carry it on, and just really a guy who really got under Neville's skin. It was Austin Aries. But this match, I got Neville going over in the best match I'm probably not going to see.
Yeah. You mean the greatest man that never wins?
Damn.
The greatest man that pisses everyone off backstage.
Yeah.
All right, so then we have the Raw Women's Championship, Alexa Bliss defending against either Sasha Banks or Nia Jax. You know, it's interesting. Alexa did an interview recently talking about how she can wrestle Sasha when they don't like each other. And that kind of goes back to the point made earlier about how a lot of times the best rivalries are people that actually do like each other. And it made me think of that interview with Alexa, and it also makes me think of maybe that's why they don't have the best chemistry in the ring. I mean, Alexa's still not the best wrestler in the world. She's certainly not on Sasha Banks' level, though she is, I think, leaps and bounds above her on the mic and character skills. But I don't know on this. I'm sure it's going to end up being Alexa versus Sasha.
I have to disagree with you there, fine sir. Sasha Banks is at her level when Sasha Banks is a heel. Her mic skills and her character when Sasha Banks is a heel is second to none. It's just she doesn't. I mean, you can't have a name like the Boss and be a face.
I agree with Floyd. Whenever Sasha was feuding with Bayley in NXT, and I know Floyd can't stand Bayley, but you got to give it up. Those ladies have one goddamn hell of a program. Especially, I believe, is in the, well, I'm not even going to say which match because I can't even get, where certain matches take place anymore.
Brooklyn, it was the first.
But whenever Sasha took those flowers from that little fan in the crowd and just threw them at her and then just started jaw-jacking the crowd to just a rain of boos, that's the Sasha Banks that I want to see come back. That Sasha is incredible and one of the top heels in the company. And just like you said, you can't be the boss if you're just, nice all the time. I've worked for some pretty shitty bosses in my lifetime, and that's what we need to get her back to.
Good point. Yeah, I was only thinking of current incarnation Sasha.
Current incarnation Sasha is very uncomfortable with her character, and you can just tell.
I love one. Speaking of old heel Sasha, at one point she got up in Izzy's face in Full Sail and ripped up one of her signs and made the girl cry. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you guys think is going to actually walk away? I mean, I'm guessing Alexa retains.
Sasha beats Nia, and then I think Sasha will go ahead and beats Alexa, and then they can, of course, continue that feud.
Okay, there you go.
I think that sounds pretty standard. Usually whenever you have something, a program go like this to where it is, the week before, whenever you have to wrestle some sort of gimmick match like that, winner goes on to face the champion right there. Usually the winner of that match beats the champ, and I totally see Sasha going on to beat Alexa unless Alexa gets herself disqualified.
Or gets assistance from Nia Jax, who's pissed off from losing to Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
Then we've got the SmackDown Women's Championship, Naomi defending against Natalya.
I'm thinking we get the double switch here. I think Natalya beats Naomi to give give Natalya her spot. I mean, it's kind of like a Lifetime Achievement Award because she's done so much for the women's division. She's trained the vast majority of the women's division, if not all of them. So you give Natalya the big win at SummerSlam, and Carmella cashes in.
I'm thinking that I'm taking my pizza out of the oven during this match.
Jesus.
You know what? And I would say that, but I think the contrast of styles works. And I mean, Naomi's, she wrestles such an athletic style. It takes somebody very talented to be able to keep up with her. And since Natalya is the trainer for most of these women, and she can really put on a good match, I think you may see on a very lower level, the same thing you kind of got from Shawn Michaels and Brett. You got the really athletic guy against the really technical Savage. So I think that's what you'll get from Naomi and Natalya. So that's why I think it actually has, this is my show stealer match. I think it has the ability to steal show in this case.
Look, I'm not saying it's not going to be a good match. I'm just saying I could not care. I don't know. Maybe
her entrance, man, it's so amazing.
Okay, I get it. It's a rave, but an entrance isn't a match. It's a 5-star entrance. But Shinsuke has a 5-star entrance too, and he hasn't had 5-star matches since against Sami Zayn.
You know what? You can drop the mic again on that one because I really have no comeback to that.
All right, so then we've got the main event, the Fatal 4-Way for the Universal Championship. Brock Lesnar defending against Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman. So I mentioned earlier that something I wanted to bring up about this match. This is something Floyd asked me earlier in the week. The possibility of, what's his name, John Jones?
John Bones Jones.
John Jones showing up at the SummerSlam. So here's what I think. I think John Jones is front row for the match. This is what they should do. If UFC and WWE are smart, they cross-brand this bitch. So they get him. Is he a champ, by the way, in UFC? Does he have a belt?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's there front and center with his belt. He gets, and when Lesnar's doing his entrance, he gives him the stare down, gives him the evil eye. There's no DQ. At some point in the match, John Jones takes out Lesnar. And then you have some shenanigans going on, and and Samoa Joe gets the win. He basically, Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns beat each other till they're senseless, and Samoa Joe grabs a quick pin over one of them, or kicks one in the dick and then puts the other one in the coquina clutch, and that's it. Samoa Joe walks out Universal Champion.
The whole John Jones Brock Lesnar thing, as far as building the match, I don't think that'll happen just because Dana White is against any of his current UFC people, kind of cross-branding, because he feels like any working with the WWE brings off the idea that his product might be fake, and he does not like it.
Fair enough. So maybe John could just be outside in the audience.
Just be there with his belt. Brock Lesnar comes in, and then they kind of do a stare down type thing, but nothing physical actually happens. And then maybe they have another type of stare down if Brock Lesnar loses his title type and leading into the UFC fight, because I think that's something Dana White can get behind, but they can't have anything that would be considered, physical. Because
I completely agree with Floyd on that one. And, I hope Jones is there. I hope there is a stare down. And if I remember correctly, don't you think that Dana White still owes Vince McMahon one for letting Brock fight, before SummerSlam? This could be the repayment. And if anything, it's going to happen in a UFC ring. So Dana White's going to get all the money from that.
It's funny because Dana White has had a 180 because he has openly admitted that he went to Vince McMahon when he took over the UFC to learn how to do pay-per-view. And he says he knows everything he does about pay-per-view. He learned from Vince McMahon. Putting on the monthly pay-per-views, he learned from Vince McMahon. So it's just kind of funny Dana White went heel on Vince because, UFC does make more money than the WWE. But they also went how they pay their fighters. A lot of things like that they got from how the WWE works, because the WWE already has their system laid out. So it's just kind of funny that Dana White goes that way. But you got to realize, when you look at John Bones Jones and Brock Lesnar, it can't be for a title. It's pretty much an exhibition at its highest. It's an exhibition. So if you would want him to get out of his comfort zone and do cross promotional, this would be the fight to do it for, because even if Brock Lesnar beats John Jones, it doesn't mean anything as far as the title. John Jones is still the light heavyweight champion. But Brock Lesnar, he doesn't have a problem doing the job at all, as long as he gets paid in the end. So I look forward to Brock Lesnar. I look forward to this Fatal 4-Way, because I am not going out on very much of a limb by saying this. This will be the hardest hitting Fatal 4-Way in wrestling history. But the whole John Jones and Brock Lesnar, if they use the WWE to kind of cross promote, that would make me actually interested in the fight, because I'm not really interested in the fight.
There's definitely a lot of meat in between those ropes right there. I would love to hear what the combined weight between Joe, Braun, Roman, and Brock is, because you gotta be looking at a little over half a ton at least.
Yeah, you're probably looking at, let's see, none of them are over 300. Well, Braun I think is over 300. The other guys are close to it. So even if, say, everyone's 300, that's 1,200 pounds right there if my math is correct. So yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, I think Roman Reigns is physically weighs the least. I think he's 250, and I think he weighs the least of the four.
Yeah, but he's wearing 30 pounds of body armor that should be illegal.
I don't know. Maybe that's holding. See, the other thing though, we have to remember about the body armor. He might be holding in a little bit of a gut, because the Samoan genes do tend to take over at some point, and they tend to get fat. Because one of the Usos is also, they're wearing the shirts all the time. I think they're getting a little pudgy themselves, because that Samoan DNA of chubbiness is kicking in. So
let me tell you about Roman Reigns. No, just no.
Didn't they wrestle in hoodies at the last pay-per-view? I've never seen somebody wrestle in a hoodie.
They were very happy because they finally got merchandise, because people were waiting on that day one-ish stuff to come out for months, and it didn't come out in July. So they're like, hey, we got to get some shirts sold. We're going to wrestle in what we got available.
Yeah, those are great, by the way. So that's SummerSlam. Should be an entertaining show. I'm sure about 5, 6, 8 more matches will be added on, because it's going to be a 12-hour show. It's going to be a 2-day event at this point.
That was something I was going to bring up. What do you think about 2-hour pre-show and a 4-hour show for a SummerSlam?
Well, how much of the pre-show is actually going to be matches? I mean,
not much. It's pretty getting everybody in the building. Unfortunately, I will be there, because, as much as I'm looking forward to being at SummerSlam, 4-hour shows are killer. WrestleMania, I was done. Three matches.
Just to clarify, folks, he's not using killer in the metal sense of the word, as in this is awesome, this is killer. No, he's meaning this sucks. Just to clarify.
Because I'm African American.
No, it had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it does, because I'm not going to use it in the metal sense, because I'm African American.
Living color? Come on.
Oh, okay. You name one.
Bad Brains.
There you go. But they were a punk band.
Yeah, I didn't even know the color was black. Well, CM Punk's music came, and I changed my phone to CM Punk, and they were like, hey, and someone mentioned it at work, because someone called me and the CM Punk music off. They was like, oh, yeah, the black I would be listening to in Living Color. I'm like, they're black?
Oh my God, that's amazing, because they were huge in 1989 when that song came out. So huge, they won Grammys. They won a Grammy for that. They won a Grammy for their next album.
But I doubt it. I doubt it was on Power Jam in 1140.
Power Jam.
So that was the station my family listened to, and I'm like, you were young, you had no control over the radio or whatever. So we watched BET and listened to Power Jam in 1140. So unless In Living Color was on those, I don't know who the hell you're talking about.
Yes. Well, let's move on to NXT, a show I did watch this week. Yes.
It was actually a really good show this week.
It was. The show opening up with Nikki Cross in the ring just calling out AOP, and then they come out and Wolf and Dane jump in the ring, and then out of nowhere Eric Young reappears to a big babyface pop. Now, so there's the beatdown and Sanity standing tall. Now, going into this match, this is heel versus heel, but I really get the feeling Sanity are going to be wrestling as babyfaces and treated as babyfaces by that crowd. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Sanity's over. Everyone loves EY. That's a big thing. I think they are the babyface-ish group of this tag team. They're not babyface, but they're babyface-ish.
Yeah, and I think Eric Young has finally found his absolutely perfect role.
Yeah. I mean, it's like he's a poor man's Bray Wyatt, and it works.
It does. So, Dan, did you get to watch NXT this week?
I watched the highlights of it. I watched the beginning. I think that I think Sanity could be the ones behind the Fashion Files, or the ones that are constantly pestering Breezango, if they haven't wrapped that up yet. I still can't get over that goofy Eric Young has turned into what he's turned into from his TNA career to now to NXT. Couldn't stand the guy whenever he was Don't Fire Eric Young, and now I think what he does is really captivating, and it's a better version of the Wyatt family.
And this is a cool Triple H story. Because from what I understand, this is how I have internet rumors, so if this is completely wrong, forgive me. But from what I understand is Triple H had the idea of Sanity. He wanted a veteran guy that brings in younger people before they go to the main roster. It was like a veteran would decide he was staying with NXT. And he could not find a person that could pull off the character. He actually watched TNA wrestling, saw Eric Young doing his thing, when he went to Crazy Eric Young, and he's like, that's the guy I want. As soon as he's available, he's going to sign him. And when Eric Young made that one-time appearance on NXT, Triple H did everything he could to introduce him to the world of Sanity and to sign him, and that is why EY signed.
Oh, that's a great story. And I like the idea of Sanity being the ones going after the fashion police, but I don't see Eric Young ever leaving NXT. I mean,
there would definitely be a huge hole if they brought Sanity up, and I don't think it's the right time to do it. But I could see them doing it anyways.
Yeah, because Joe, he was told he was never going to leave NXT.
True.
And now he's a main eventer on the main roster. So a lot of people, they come in with the ideas, and then once they really get over, Vince is like, you know what? Let me take him and do nothing with it.
One thing, though, I think, if the rumors are true, and if War Machine is coming into NXT, Killian Dane's going to have to get a new gear, because there is no way that he is going to be sporting his wannabe Hanson gear when actually fucking Hanson is in the building. And that would, so yeah. I mean, Hanson maybe could join Sanity, could be with Eric Young, but they've already got their own kind of thing, so I don't know.
Killian Dane is one of the people that I could see going to the main roster very soon, because there's not much to do, to change on. Generally they keep you in NXT to develop you. I mean, he's been wrestling for years. He's developed. He knows what his character is. So I could see them bringing him up. But, I am of the opinion that they should. I like Sanity in NXT right now. I think it's one of their hottest gimmicks. And them against Authors of Pain, I would love to see go into the TakeOver before Survivor Series.
Yeah, and we'll do predictions for TakeOver here in a second. Dan, you have anything else you want to add about this before we move on?
Nope, let's keep it rolling.
All right, I'm in my place here.
I'm super excited about this next topic.
We got the Metrosexuals. I'm sorry, the Metro Brothers taking on the Street Profits.
I'm stirring it up now.
Who
What?
the fuck are the Metro Brothers? Where did they get these two guys? They come out and I'm like, who the hell is this?
They're a tag team in developmental, and they have this idea in developmental is that they throw you out there to be jobbers for a little while before they actually bring you up to the main roster. It might not actually, bring you up to NXT. They might not actually debut at those characters, but they were just put out there to debut the Street Profits.
Okay. And the Street Profits, oh my God, what a vision. I'm so glad that Angelo Dawkins finally has something I think is going to work.
Oh, God, it's such a natural. It's perfect. They finally found a guy with as much or more swag than Angelo Dawkins. I kept thinking, whenever he was with someone, I was like, this dude has so much energy. He has such a natural character. How is this not working? He's pretty much every black guy on the internet right now. And I was like, how is this not working? And then they found his perfect counterpart in Montez Ford. If you ever want to take some time to look up YouTube, this dude is basically on an athletic nature above everyone. I mean, he is an athletic freak. He can pull off every move Apollo Crews does, and he has a 9-pack like Tony Nese. This dude is pretty much, for the character he's playing, perfect.
Yeah, this is my first time seeing either of these guys, and I was really impressed with Street Profits. I need to check out some of their older work, but I was of the same opinion where I was just like, who the hell are these guys? But with both teams in that respect. But really, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. The Street Profits are crime time if they had talent.
Exactly.
Had talent. I mean, these dudes carry it up.
Dawkins has been around for a while in NXT, and Ford, I think this was his TV debut. So this was their TV debut as a team. They've been doing the house show circuit for a while, but my God, it was so much fun. And then there was that, after they got the win, Ford did some dance move where he slid across the mat and he was like swishing his legs or something. I don't know what the hell that was, but it cracked me up, and these guys were just on fire, and that place was going bonkers for them. And they had that dude who had the big Street Profits sign and this big red Solo cup.
I'm bringing my red Solo cup this week. Hopefully, they are on pre-show to TakeOver.
Yeah, this was so much fun. Now, one thing I also noticed, and I think I've noticed this before, but they've kind of reconfigured the NXT arena a little bit, haven't they? There seem to be more seats in there than there used to be.
I was actually looking at that, and it looks like even different than when I was there. It looks like they've added even more space because every time, the one time I went, it was standing room only, and they told me that's pretty much what happens every time.
Okay.
So they probably made more space.
Yeah. Next up, we had the little in-ring standoff with Drew McIntyre and Bobby Roode and Mr. Regal, which got interrupted by Roderick Strong laying down a challenge to fight Bobby Roode, and then Bobby Roode just being smarter than everyone else, saying, fine, I'll fight you. You have to beat this guy first next week. And it sets up a match for this coming Wednesday. McIntyre taking on Roderick Strong. That should be good. But I thought this was pretty good. I liked it. And, man, is it just me, or has Bobby Roode just decided I'm going to be the best Ric Flair I can be?
Bobby Roode is, it is honestly he is very much an old school heel. You're not good enough to fight me. This is my NXT, all that part of it. And I imagine at some point during the Roderick Strong, Drew McIntyre match, just to make the more NXT match more entertaining, Roderick Strong is going to cause some sort of injury to Drew McIntyre that he has to carry into the Bobby Roode match at NXT Brooklyn. So that will make that match more entertaining. And Roderick Strong comes off really whiny.
Well, I think that's going to... There's been rumors that they're planning on building a faction of former Ring of Honor wrestlers in NXT. And I think it would be kind of cool to see something play out where the match in Brooklyn, basically Roddy gets involved, causes a DQ, and is joined by Adam Cole and Red Dragon, and they start a faction. And you would even explain it on NXT that like in a couple weeks where Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly even mention we've hated each other for years, but we bring out the best in each other and we want to take this place over.
Yes, and it'd be even better if Nigel McGuinness kind of joins them.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
Commentary, and every time they're wrestling, he just puts them over, way more over than the guys that are currently there.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
I love that idea, but I want to back it up, something a little more serious. You know, we were talking about how Bobby Roode is, doing the best Ric Flair impression. Ric Flair right now is in the ICU, they say, for monitoring. No details are really available right now, but just want to wish Ric Flair a speedy recovery or whatever he's going through. Hopefully it's nothing, and we can see him again real soon.
And all joking aside, I never want anything to happen to Ric Flair, but the stories of the amount of drugs that he's done in his past is actually true and not just, made to add to the Ric Flair lifestyle. I am surprised he's still walking.
Amen. I agree with you there. I don't want anything to happen to him, but I'm surprised he's still breathing. Next up, we had Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch having a rematch. This was a really good match. My favorite part, though, of the whole thing, at the very beginning when the two are still feeling themselves out, someone in the crowd yelled, "Be a man and fight your father."
Oh, that's I thought, man, this match was super physical, though.
Yeah, these two guys beat the fuck out of each other. And this is something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but real quick, this is something. If it doesn't work out in WWE for these two guys, I see a New Japan future easily, because I could totally see both of those guys just tearing it up in New Japan.
Yeah, after this match, I immediately called it, and I was like, I'm going to save it for the show. These two are going to be a tag team in the Dusty Rhodes Invitation.
Oh, good call. That's great. Yeah, because they're going to fucking need some teams.
Yeah. So I think they look exactly alike. They have that physical, rough nature style. I dig it. Honestly, it's funny because with them against AOP, I could actually buy them going blow for blow because they wrestle so stiff.
Yeah.
Oney is somebody that I didn't think was really going to get a shot in NXT. We got to see him a little bit last year whenever NXT came through Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Guy has a terrible name. He must know it. He's out there every single show, though, putting his all in, and he hits like a brick shithouse. Like, I really hope to see the best for Oney and Danny, and like you said, a tag team would be perfect scenario for them.
And it's so funny because Danny Burch has been around NXT for a long time, and he had these terrible ring gear, and it just didn't work. And he just puts on some straight up tights, and he's in the UK tournament, has a good showing, comes back, and it's like, oh my God, this guy's actually legit, and he is really good. And another thing I really enjoyed in this match, because both of these guys throw the European uppercut, and there was a Cesaro reference. Because they all, I mean, if you put the three of them together, man, that's some creepy uniqueness there. They're all like.
It was funny because Oney Lorcan was doing the forearms. I mean, the European uppercut thing that Cesaro was doing, and when we were at the show, everybody kept saying it started a chant of "Poor man Cesaro."
Oh, damn, that's not right. Poor Oney, and I know we have discussed this in the past, but you're right, Dan. That name blows. I mean, it is so terrible. And I know he probably helped come up with it, and I wish they would tell the story of the name, like they let Finn Balor tell the story of his name. They let Hideo Itami tell the story of his name. Help us understand why the fuck you let them call you Oney Lorcan instead of being Biff Busick or Biff Lorcan or something else, because sweet Jesus, man,
Here's the thing about it, too. The reason it's so bad is that Oni and Lorcan don't sound like actual real names that anyone has ever had. I've never heard of an Oni. I've never met an Oni. I've never seen an Oni in the news. The only time I've seen an Oni or a Lorcan is on NXT Wednesday nights, and he kicks a lot of people's asses. But that name is just...
Yeah, even when you go to Google and put Oni, and you look for other names, the only thing that comes up is Lorcan.
Yeah, and I mean, what it sounds like is it sounds like a name created for a high fantasy novel. It's like you're reading a Terry Brooks or J.R.R. Martin or Tolkien book, George R.R. Martin, and yeah, so I got Tolkien and Martin mixed up. Sorry, but
Oni is a Johnny Cash song. Just throwing that out there.
What?
I wonder if that's where he got his name from.
Oh, are you really? See, I love me some Johnny Cash. I'm gonna have to Google this, sir.
Johnny Cash, and the song was released in 1972. It's about looking like a working man. I dedicated this song to the working man, and the song's called Oni.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to talk shit about Johnny Cash, but I still think it, both...
His name, but don't get me wrong. I was just trying to do some poor man's research while we're talking. Like, hey,
Floyd.
Where this song came from.
Floyd's Google foo is correct. It was from a 1973 album called "Any Old Wind That Blows."
Well, he does blow.
Yes.
If he wanted to name himself after a Johnny Cash song, he should have called himself Sue.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been awesome. Oh my God, that would have been so awesome. And Lorcan is an Irish name, and there's some famous Irish person named Lorcan Cranach is an Irish actor, and a poet named Lorcan O'Toole. And Lorcan is a smart, athletic, and extremely attractive man.
Well, he's athletic and quite possibly smart. Poor Oni. I don't know about the.
Like I said,
he's not hitting the Triple Crown on that one.
Let me say this: it's different, and it's one name that when people say ridiculous names, you could ask me 20 years from now, Oni Lorcan will be the name that comes up.
Oh, I can think of two that right off the top of my head. Crazy, stupid wrestling names: Oni Lorcan and Cassius Ohno. Though I understand Cassius Ohno, though they still never have explained it on TV, because it's Cassius is, a Muhammad Ali reference, and oh no is literally going, oh no, I just got the shit beat out of me. So, but it's still, you hear that and you're like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, you had the speed skater Apollo Ohno.
And I think
it's a legit name. Ohno is. I feel a complete opposite about Cassius Ohno, the name, than Dave does.
When he's on the Indies, and this is the only correlation I came up with, is that his last name's Hero, and they like to chant out Hero, and I think he just wanted a last name that people could chant, and it was like, oh no, you get a lot of that chanting and I just thought it made sense for him. It's like, oh no, I'm about to get my ass whooped. That kind of thing. So I agree. I completely agree with Dan. It was ridiculous because I didn't get it, because I honestly didn't get it until he went away and then came back.
Well, that's the thing with a name like this is, and with Oni Lorcan's name, fucking explain it, man. Don't make people go hear it and go, what the hell, and have to do a few minutes worth of Googling. Not that, I mean, it's not that much effort, but still. It would be nice because it helps build the character. They need to start doing vignettes on both Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch, letting us know who these guys are, besides two relatively unattractive bald dudes who beat the piss out of each other. Well, let's get some character, because look how much those vignettes did for Roderick Strong.
Yeah, maybe they did a lot, but their story might be boring.
I doubt it, man. I've heard nothing but great stuff about Biff Busick over the years. So, Well, there was one other match here on NXT this week. No Way Jose versus Andrade Cien Almas with Zelina Vega in his corner. And you know what? I think they finally found what's going to make Andrade work. Him with Zelina is a great matchup, I think.
Yeah, and the way they did it during the match, where she was actually the ring general, he kept doing this one move, and she's like, no more, and she yells at him not to do that move anymore, and she was very much the general of the match. It was like, I like that kind of role for her, because she carries it off very well. Love Thea Trinidad. I thought it was like, think this is a long time waiting, her actually making her debut, and you know what? She's a manager now, but how good she is in the ring, I think people don't know yet, and they're going to see it because she can go.
Didn't see it. Sounds great.
All right. Well, next Saturday is NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3, and we're going to go ahead and go through the card as it stands now per our good friends at the Wikipedia.
My shirt's on the way, but it will not be here before I leave, which sucks. But I will buy an I Was There shirt, even though they never go above 2X. I'm very excited for this show.
Nice. So, we've got Johnny Gargano taking on Andrade Cien Almas. Earlier in this week's NXT, Johnny had a backstage interview where he said he wanted a match at TakeOver. And after this match, Zelina got on the mic she actually walked over to the announce table and said, Johnny Gargano wants a fight at Brooklyn. He's got it. So that should be good. Tomas is not ready to come back yet, is he? He's going to be out for a long time.
Oh, December is the earliest.
Okay. So I have no idea who wins here, because you don't want to... I mean, both of these guys have a lot of momentum at the moment, other than just creating a feud. I don't know. I think it's going to be a good match, though.
Yeah, Gargano is better when he loses, so I'm going with Almas, and because, Johnny wrestling. But in Brooklyn, they might use this match to start off this show and get everybody in it with the Gargano winning, but if I'm going to not hedge my bets, I'm going with Almas getting the win.
Yeah, I see Almas taking this, especially with Zelina. I'm really excited to see Gargs wrestle. He always puts on great matches, whether it be with Ciampa or, unfortunately, not now. But I think Almas has the momentum here. I think they finally hit something, and they want to ride this out and see if he was a good investment from AAA.
Good call. Next up, we have Aleister Black taking on Hideo Itami. They did show some footage during NXT of Itami just attacking Aleister Black outside. This should be good. I mean, is this going to be Black's first loss?
No, absolutely.
I think Black wins by decapitation.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to lose until it's a title match. I keep hearing. If he does lose, I've heard that he's going to actually be called up to help 205 Live. So I don't see him losing against Hideo Itami. I would love to see him eat a GTS and kick out of it, though. Because Aleister Black, man, that kick, though, it is. I hate kicks. Other than Sweet Chin Music, I've always hated kicks as finishers. But that kick is just so good. He does it so well that I can't wait to see. Is it called the Fade to Black or the Blackout?
I think it's called Fade to Black.
All right. So I didn't remember which one it was called.
They might have called it both. I don't know. See, and I would much rather them put Hideo Itami on 205 Live than Aleister Black, because Aleister Black has bigger and better things in his future. I mean, unless they put him in 205 Live for a while and then let him move out. So, but that's just me.
I mean, they're not going to let 205 Live die, and I think that's every bit with Triple H's thing, is that he feels like they need more brands, and I just wish they would just give him complete control of 205 Live.
That's true.
Because you can just tell the storytelling is like a lower level WWE roster. I mean, the matches, the wrestlers have been doing everything they can over the last few weeks, about a month and a half, putting on really excellent matches, but it's just nothing else to draw people in.
All right, next up we have the Authors of Pain defending the NXT Tag Team Championship against Sanity. It will be Alexander Wolf, Killian Dane, with Eric Young and Nikki Cross in their corner. I don't know, is it time to take the titles off Authors of Pain?
I think they stay undefeated, personally.
Yeah, I think Authors of Pain still got it. They've only been getting better, and unless they want to bring up Authors of Pain, then I see them still leaving with the titles. Sanity, as much as as good as they are, I still don't find them believable in a sense that they can hold titles. I just see them as the crazy group that always interferes, or something to that effect. I see them as a team that down the road maybe could, but I think there's too many people in Sanity right now, and so having just two of them with titles whenever the leader doesn't have anything, he's not even sniffing a belt right now, I think that looks really bad for Sanity. So I say Authors of Pain win, and that's the best look that Sanity can get out of this.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a match where Sanity loses, but probably just barely, and I think they come out of it looking pretty darn good. But yeah, I agree. I think the Authors of Pain are going to go ahead and retain. We have the NXT Women's Championship, Asuka defending against Ember Moon. Ember Moon hit the Eclipse on Asuka the other week. I don't think it's time to take the belt off Asuka. I don't think Ember Moon's the one to do it. I think Ember Moon's excellent in the ring. She's not that great on the mic. So, yeah, I wouldn't do it yet. I'm still saying Kairi Sane from Japan. That's what I want to see. I want to see her win the women's tournament and then come after Asuka.
I've been very clear on my thought process on this. Asuka wins the title, debuts on Raw or SmackDown, wins the other title, gives up the NXT belt. She leaves NXT undefeated.
Yep, that's what I want. I don't want Asuka to ever lose, ever.
There you go. All right, and then we have the main event.
A lot of words to express what I'm trying to get over. My feelings for Asuka are very well known. So,
yeah, it's you built this up for a year, and you've done, to me, shit to really build up Ember Moon. I mean, to me, Ember Moon needed like a Goldberg type of. Also, this should be the battle of the undefeateds, and it should. I mean, Ember's character should be developed, and they really go at it. I just don't buy Ember Moon beating Asuka.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're all in agreement there, which probably means Ember Moon's going to win. So, fuck us.
And then Asuka debuts.
Yep. We have the main event, NXT Championship match, Bobby Roode defending against Drew McIntyre. I love how in their segment on NXT they made, I think it was a Drew that made fun of the glorious entrance. Or somebody there was a quip made about the entrances.
Yeah, definitely.
But you think I don't think Drew wins this match. I think he wins probably at the TakeOver at Royal Rumble. Because, as I mentioned before, I think Roddy and Adam Cole and Red Dragon get involved and beat both of these guys up to solidify themselves as this new faction. But I do think Drew eventually is who's going to beat Bobby Roode, and I think it's going to happen the TakeOver Royal Rumble weekend, and I think Bobby Roode is in the Royal Rumble.
So you're just skipping over the Survivor Series TakeOver?
Oh fuck, I forgot about that one. Yeah, because that could be Bobby against somebody else. That could be him against who knows, and maybe even he strikes a deal with this new faction. I don't know. I forgot about Survivor Series. Shit. And maybe they do it at Survivor Series. But I think Bobby Roode debuting at the Royal Rumble could be something special. That music hitting, I think that place could go berserk. But I don't think it is time to take the belt off of McIntyre or off of Roode yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think Roode keeps this one. through nefarious means, of course, but in all of Rude's matches, yeah, he has been the heel. He has looked legit stronger than everyone else. Everyone he wrestles, he gives them a hellacious match, and at the end of it, you realize, all that bravado and bluster, he backs it up. That's why he calls himself glorious, because he is glorious. That's his character, because that's who he is as a wrestler. So right now, I don't see Drew McIntyre beating him. I do see him doing it down the line. But I'm just enjoying Bobby Roode's run right now, because I didn't really care for him in TNA, and now he's one of my favorites in the whole company.
And he's a guy, I think, that won't get lost in the shuffle on the main roster, because I think he is the kind of guy that Vince could look at and go, I can do something with this.
Yeah, I would love for him to take on the role of Triple H and Stephanie's boy, because, he wears the suits. He already wears the suits. He already pulls off that gimmick of, I'm trying to bring things to another level. As a corporate champion, he would fit that gimmick perfectly.
Yep.
Yeah, so maybe even he doesn't debut at the Rumble. Maybe he debuts at at Survivor Series or the Monday after.
Yeah, but if McIntyre wins the title, he will, believe he will continue a trend that you debut in NXT, and then at the Brooklyn show you win the title.
Yeah, hadn't thought about that. All right, so that is TakeOver. That happens next Saturday. We're all... Okay, so which are you looking forward to more for SummerSlam weekend? TakeOver Brooklyn or SummerSlam?
TakeOver Brooklyn by far for me. The show is shorter, but they focus on matches. They have the length of matches. Every match is like 15 to 20 minutes. They really go at it. Since I'm a wrestling fan, I prefer wrestling shows. So they really focus on the wrestling. SummerSlam, it's too long. It's too fucking long. At the end of the hour, the hour 3 of the pay-per-view will be the 5th hour I've been in the building. Fucking.
That just sounds like such a slog. I'm going for NXT. This one, they're always better shows in general. They're always more memorable, even if I can't remember where the hell they happen. But SummerSlam is way too long. It's tough getting through 3 hours of Raw. So having a 5-hour pay-per-view, I'll be watching SummerSlam, and I am pausing it and watching Game of Thrones whenever that comes on, because that is what I'm looking forward to more than SummerSlam. I'll get my wrestling fix Saturday. I'll get a little more of it Sunday, and then I'll watch the main event after Game of Thrones.
There you go.
I will watch SummerSlam. I will watch Game of Thrones, hopefully on the road as I'm coming back on HBO Go. If not, I'll have to wait all the way till I get back, which, if that's the case, y'all will see we'll hear quite a bit of social media silence from me, because I won't want to get it spoiled. Honestly, the only reason I regret going to Brooklyn because of that.
So wait a minute.
Thank God Floyd is finally going to shut up on the internet. This is going to be fantastic.
Wait, so you're not the one driving, though, right? Because I don't want you watching TV while you're driving.
They're for adults, so somebody's going to be driving. But, yeah, I won't watch TV while I'm driving. Not to say I've never done it. I've
done the same thing. I'm not proud of it, but I have.
I used to get off of work during the middle of wrestling pay-per-views. So you think I'm going to stop my stream till I get home? No. You set up your phone right up there in the dashboard, and it's streaming while you get home.
I've done it with the World Cup before.
These are the people I share the road with, folks.
Yes. But it has been over 20 years since I've been in an accident caused by me.
Oh, there you go.
I've been in one, so yeah, I'm even better.
All right. Well, that kind of does it for the WWE Talk of the Week, other than a couple other notes. Ronda Rousey has begun her wrestling training, according to the rumors. She is hanging out with Mr. Kendrick, and learning some moves and to hopefully not just beat the holy fuck out of people.
This excites me to no end. I'm a big Rousey fan. The thing about MMA, the reason, people are like, oh, her star is falling, and it's funny because I think it has to happen because she's a woman. Because the thing about MMA that I love is that anybody can anybody on any different night, and you can be as elite as long as you want to, but eventually somebody's going to catch up. Anderson Silva's a lot of people consider one of the greatest fighters of all time, and you know what? He got knocked out eventually. So losing is something that actually, it happens in MMA. But with her coming to wrestling, I think her losing MMA is the only reason that this can happen. So I thank God she lost in MMA because the stories they're going to be able to tell with Ronda Rousey, I think is going to be able to be the true female Brock Lesnar. She's going to run through everybody as she wrestles, and they're going to set up a match with her and Charlotte at WrestleMania, and that will probably be the first time where I think a women's match, it's not going to because Vince McMahon is still alive, but where a women's match should main event WrestleMania.
Here's my question. Is this going to be an extended run like Brock Lesnar, or is this going to be a one and done at WrestleMania? What do you guys think?
I think an extended run, personally. She's a wrestling fan, and I think if she takes that first bump and does that, and she thinks she's good at it, and she can make money at it, because I truly believe her MMA career is over. So if she can make money in it, you got to keep money coming in, and if she can use this to rebuild that movie star persona that she was trying to build in MMA, why not? It can work both for the WWE and her.
Did that biopic about her ever come out?
No, it got pulled because she lost.
Weren't they already filming it? Didn't it have a trailer and the whole nine?
Dropped because she lost.
Damn.
At a Roadhouse where they had a script for her and they were ready for her to start filming it, dropped because she lost.
Ooh, like Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse.
Yeah. So she was going to be like his niece. And dropped because she lost. And I think that's a very double standard because I don't think that would have happened with any guy. They would have done the movie still.
Yeah,
but it was dropped because she lost.
That's crazy. So yeah. I think
here's a question too. I know it's a bit off topic, but Mayweather McGregor will be happening that weekend too. Who you guys got?
It's the weekend of the 26th, and I think Floyd Mayweather completely destroyed McGregor.
Yeah, if it was in an octagon, I think Conor McGregor would win. It's a boxing match, and the rules in a boxing match are so different. McGregor's used to being able to do just about anything he wants, and now he's to be forced to just punch. And yeah, I think he's probably gonna be made to look like a bitch.
If it was someone that was kind of elite but middle road, that had lost in their career, but this is the elite of the elite. It would be like I've said it like this: LeBron James is elite at basketball. He runs playing basketball. I'm gonna race Usain Bolt.
Yeah, I think Mayweather takes it down too. I think he's gonna pop him really good in the jaw, and he's just gonna go down like a sack of potatoes. And that's not an Irish joke.
Yeah. He's gonna play with him though, because Mayweather's all about putting on a show. So he's gonna play with him, and maybe McGregor lands a punch. And I am, like I said, I've always said I don't like Floyd Mayweather. I don't, but at all. So I want McGregor to win. It's just if McGregor wins, it's the death of boxing as a whole.
Ouch.
Just think about it. This guy off the street that is not even an elite boxer can beat the best boxer in the world.
Yeah, you make a good point.
Why would you turn in on a boxing match ever again when the best fighters are in the MMA, and a lot of the times they have those shows on at the same time? I really would have no reason to ever watch boxing again.
Speaking of MMA, I was at the gym the other morning, and they've got these TVs connected to like the treadmills, the ellipticals, and stuff. And there was a UFC thing on, and MMA matches are kind of fucking boring. I mean, a lot of it looks like two guys humping each other, and it's
everything about MMA is showing protecting yourself from getting knocked out or getting tapped out. To be an offensive MMA fighter is like kind of rare, because once you're offensive, that leaves yourself open for the other person's offense.
So I just had to throw that out there.
No, I completely agree. Boring.
I'm surprised you said it was boring, and then you described it as two guys humping each other. You're sending mixed messages here, Dave.
And there's nothing wrong, man. Two guys humping each other, that's all good. And that would honestly be more entertaining than two guys actually hump than watching an MMA fight. And maybe it was just the one I saw, but holy crap, was it boring.
Yeah, if you go back and if you want to go on YouTube or whatever and watch when you get to Elite Fighters, Daniel Cormier versus John Bones Jones, it was actually a very entertaining fight.
Well, I might have to check that out sometime.
But if you don't, my heart's not broken.
There you go. One other WWE-related note, DX, D-Generation X, turned 20 recently. 20 years of crotch chopping and sucking it. So,
yeah, funny story. I was talking about Step Up's anniversary last night, and I confused Step Up's anniversary with DX. I was like, Step Up came out 20 years ago. So I tried to really age Channing Tatum and Jenna Dewan right there. Instead of 10 years ago, which it actually came out. But DX turning 20. I think they're the best pure WWE faction ever. Because they did something a lot of factions don't do. They evolved. They went from Shawn China and Triple H to Triple H being the leader with Road Dogg, X-Pac, Billy Gunn, and China. And I just think that is a great. That is the sign of a great faction when the members can change and it gets better.
I can see that. I think that's fair.
Let's not forget that Rick Rude was also in DX at one point in time. And I think the legacy of DX, there's a reason that they showed the classic Attitude clips of DX and not whenever they brought DX back and it was just all, rooster jokes and tossing glow sticks into the crowd. That I think their legacy was tarnished whenever they came back. It was really exciting to see, really exciting when it originally happened, but it just kind of went nowhere, and we got, pretty sick of it. But DX as a whole, I think they're better than the New World Order.
And it's funny that the non-official stable of the Clique spawned. If it wasn't for the Clique, Indo DX don't happen.
Yep.
Yeah, that is true.
The 5 members of the Clique made 2 of the hottest stables ever.
And I would say that I've always seen DX and the NWO as kind of, because of that Clique thing, they're related. They were the same faction on 2 different shows. And to me, that goes back. There was an episode of Nitro where the NWO's making their way into the ring, and Kevin Nash gets right up in a camera with the live mic and does the too sweet hand symbol and says, "Right back at you, HBK," before they could catch it and cut it off. And so to me, it was always all those 4 guys specifically: Triple H, HBK. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, it was always that they were separated because they were in different companies, but this was all one big, larger group.
Yeah, and it's crazy because Kevin Nash says his whole career is Shawn Michaels. He felt like he would have been out of wrestling if it wasn't for Shawn Michaels making a phone call and saying, "Come join me in the WWE," or WWF at the time. And it's, Scott Hall, his career, Razor Ramon was hot, but it didn't get blazing until he got in the match with Shawn Michaels. And then Triple H, his whole career was pretty much riding on Shawn Michaels' coattails until he showed that he was one of the best wrestlers in the world. So you just got to think about it. It's like, you think of, I've talked about wrestling offshoots or wrestling characters that come from another character, and I've always used Undertaker and Kane. But you got to think Shawn Michaels took 3 guys that may or may not have made it on their own and made them all Hall of Famers.
Have you guys seen old footage of Scott Hall in the AWA?
Yes, Big Scott Hall. Not even old footage. They were showing AWA matches on ESPN Classic for a long time, and I just watched him wrestle.
Yeah, he was a spitting image of Magnum TA.
He was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was very much a bigger version of Magnum TA, but yeah.
And back in the day, too, Scott Hall credits DDP for the one telling him to dye his hair black because I believe he was blonde originally, and that's what revamped his whole career. Back before he was in WWF. So another thing that DDP has done to help wrestling behind the scenes. Just an incredible friggin' guy there.
And the whole idea of Vince asked him, did he have any plans for a gimmick? And he did the Scarface thing as a joke. And Vince McMahon had never seen Scarface, so he thought it was completely original.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So he's like, man, this is a great idea.
Yeah. Well, want to talk about one more thing before we get into this week's top 5. The New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax has been going on, and it actually finished some point early this morning. Don't know, no spoilers, haven't seen the finale, but I do want to talk about Omega Okada 3, which was last night, the 12th. So if you haven't seen Omega Okada 3, spoilers, fast forward, want to talk about that for a minute. So
I can't talk about it. I haven't seen it.
Oh, man. Have you seen it, Dan?
I know the ending.
Okay.
I was going to say, I watched the shows that we're going to talk about on the show.
Yeah, I good point. I should probably start doing that more often. But I had to watch it. I watched it last night, and my God, you talk about 2 guys who have incredible chemistry and who have put on. I mean, all 3 of their matches this year are in top 10 match of the year contenders. I still think the first one is the best match of the year, if not one of the best matches of all time. It was that outstandingly good. This one, it was a 30-minute time limit, and it was so intense. I mean, all their matches have been intense, but it's outstanding. And Kenny Omega finally got the win. He finally hit the One-Winged Angel in the center of the ring, and you guys need to go watch it. I know you're now spoiled, but you need to go watch this match. It's incredible, and it just reminds me so much of how much better New Japan is than damn near anything else in the world. I mean, if one of these days we should do a ranking of our what do we think are best or worst top 5 wrestling promotions currently in the world. We should do that maybe next week. Because I think it's pretty safe to say New Japan Pro Wrestling is the best wrestling promotion in the world, bar none.
I don't know, Dave. I gotta say, I think Blow is number 1 in the nation right now. We're putting on a hell of a lot of shows, and they're pretty damn good. So you can have your New Japan. I'll stick with Blow. Thank you.
I'm gonna go with IWR. No, no disrespect. To IWR. I love this Imperial Wrestling Revolution, best wrestling organization in the world. Again, I always say in New Japan's in-ring product is amazing. I don't think they catch the other entertainment side of wrestling. So if you were going to go best pure wrestling promotion, I would say New Japan. But, best wrestling entertainment promotion, still got to go with the WWE.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because it's just, in New Japan's all in-ring. Very little actual storyline.
See that? No, they tell their stories in the ring. They don't. I mean, that's what they do. They tell stories in the ring. Just like there's.
They don't promo.
No, they do promos. I mean, a good chunk
I
of them are
understand
Japanese.
at the ending of the show.
No, they do other promos. But
Dave, I know exactly what you're talking about, and going back to last night or this morning, depending on whenever it actually happened, the fact that Kenny has never been able to pull off the one-winged angel in their previous 2 matches, and he's gotten really close, but whenever he finally did it, it finally equaled the pin for him. That's in-ring storytelling over the course of 8 months.
He pulled it off in the second match, and Okada just put his foot on the rope.
Well, that doesn't count.
Yeah, it does. It was the one-wing angel.
He should have done it so close to the ring. He shouldn't have done it so close to the ropes. All right, you gotta have better ring awareness, Kenny.
well, here's the thing.
I watched both matches, and you know what? It took my breath away, and I truly don't think anything can improve those 2 matches. I don't want to take that away from New Japan Wrestling. I do, and there is a pure wrestling show. They are the best. They are the best 80s wrestling program ever. But we're in the 2000s, and you have to do a little more of the show aspect of it.
See, I don't know. I don't.
Well, you know what? This is a perfect discussion for next week when we do our top 5 promotions.
There we go. I'm gonna have to remember that we actually discussed that. That's what we're going to talk about. So speaking of top 5s, we do have a top 5 for the week. It is making its glorious return, and this was an idea. Floyd, did you get this idea from anyone?
I did not.
Okay, so we are always looking for suggestions.
We were talking about the top 5, and you said come up with a top 5, and yeah, it just came out.
Yes. So if any of our awesome listeners have any suggestions for top 5s, we are always looking for some. You can send us a tweet at AroundTheRingOK. You can email us AroundTheRingOK@gmail.com. We are on the Facebook, facebook.com/AroundTheRingOK. And as always, whenever we post our episodes in the club, our completely awesome wrestling group that we have on the Facebook, you can throw some of them down in the comments. So our top 5 this week, top 5 Wrestling Sidekicks.
And I want to throw out 2 top 5s for the future. And we maybe can do this one on one show.
Okay.
Top 5 catchphrases of all time. Top 5 worst catchphrases of all time.
I'm gonna go with top 5 top 5s.
Top 5.
All right. Well, I'm writing these down. So do you have any honorable mentions, guys?
I have a few honorable mentions.
I've got one.
All right. Well, you go with your one.
All right. I gotta say this is a pretty hard top 5, and I couldn't have this list because of the insane spot monkey work that they're pulling off right now. But I think the Singh brothers are a perfect fit with Jinder. They're the only ones that are entertaining about that entire feud and about Jinder's title role right now. Every time they're out there, one of them is going to go take some crazy-ass spot through a table, off a prison, Punjabi prison, do something. They're always sneaky. They always show up right whenever you forget about them, and I think they work great with Jinder. So honorable mention to the Singh brothers. I hope after Jinder's title run is over that they continue their path, because I'm really impressed by them.
You have one honorable mention?
I'm actually stealing Dan's because I didn't think of an honorable mention before, but yeah, the Singh brothers, you're right. That's totally stealing that. They are the perfect match with Jinder, and they do bump like crazy, and they are awesome, and I hope they actually get a shot in the tag team division.
All right. Well, I have like 5.
Good God, sir.
Jeez.
Well, it was my topic, so I listed like 15, and then I narrowed it down. Definitely on my top 5, or on my bottom 5, technically, would be the Miz Dial, the Miz, Hornswoggle for Finley, Hurricane the Rosie for the Hurricane. The Mean Street Posse for Shane O'Mac. And what was the last one? The only female on this list, and I can honestly say it shows how she transcended being a valet and became more of a side kick. China Triple H.
Side chick.
Stephanie was the side chick. Stephanie was the side chick in that 3-1. But China was a sidekick for Triple H.
Very good. Very good. All right. We are on to number 5. Dan, who's your number 5?
Well, I gotta let you know a little spoiler alert. 2 of Floyd's honorable mentions are in my top 5, including this team right here, the Mean Street Posse. I love the Mean Street Posse so damn much. Just the fact that they're Shane's buddies, and they weren't wrestlers. They just brought in, and from the mean streets of Greenwich, Connecticut, I always think that's just the funniest shit. Them with their stupid, vests and polos and everything, thinking they're tough guys. Whenever really it's just, oh yeah, our buddy Shane, super rich, and he owns this company, and we're all rich, and we're just going to go out here and think that we can beat up other people because we're rich. I love that gimmick so much.
Yeah, and it was kind of, the story of it's funny that they were trying to cast 3 people as Shane's friends, and they really couldn't find anybody his age that really fit with the gimmick that they were trying to go to. And he's like, why don't I just use my friends?
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
And Pete Gas, I just love that name too. It's the funniest name. I don't know why.
I can just imagine him farting a lot. And
yes.
They started calling on that.
Well, a couple of mine are also from Floyd's honorable mentions. My number 5 is El Torito to the Los Matadores.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, and that WLC match he had with Hornswoggle, it was good stuff. That was good stuff. And I didn't realize until I Googled El Torito because I didn't know how to spell it. And I was like, oh, that's Masquerada Sagrada, who's on Lucha Underground. It's like, oh, huh. I hadn't put 2 and 2 together, but yeah.
All right.
I like that pick.
Yeah, I like that pick, too, because it's not on my list. And I have, like, a lengthy list, and that wasn't on there. That's impressive.
Nice. All right. What's your number 5, Floyd?
Number 5, I have to say first, 3 ain't enough. I need 5. Because my number 5 is Big E, as he was the sidekick for Dolph Ziggler. And what I look for in a great sidekick is a person that elevated the side elevated the other person's character. And Dolph Ziggler was, languishing. They were like, we don't know if we're going to push him, we're not. And him and Big E, they got the money in the bank, and Big E, him and AJ were all together, and Big E was the perfect sidekick for when Dolph Ziggler finally cashed in that money in the bank. So my number 5 is Big E.
Good call. Nice. Was Big E still working in NXT at that time? Was he like NXT champion?
When he viewed with Dolph, he was the NXT champion. He lost it. Okay. He lost it shortly after that.
Okay. All right, so we're on to number 4, Dan.
4, we talked about this guy earlier in the show, so I'll be brief, but it's the big hog, James Ellsworth.
Great pick.
Oh, good pick.
Great pick.
Very much.
My list, shockingly, but great pick.
This guy, if it weren't for him, with the 2 hands, any man has a chance line, I don't think that he would still be in WWE. He definitely wouldn't have come back if he hadn't bumped so hard for Braun Strowman. But he has that weird look. He's a veteran. He's very aware of himself. He's been on Jericho's podcast, and he's like, he'll tell you straight up, it's like, winning a match. When the hell have I ever won a match? I never win matches. I'm like, 2,000 in my promotion. Come on. So not only does this guy obviously love the business, you can tell he's having a great time out there. Just a very unlikely character, and I couldn't be happy for him. James Ellsworth, Big Hog, is my number 4.
Nice. My number 4 is Damian Sandow to The Miz. So,
Yeah, he reinvented his career. He was on the heels of obscurity and mimicking the Miz. Really, that whole idea of mimicking and doing what the Miz did in the ring was not even talked about. He just started doing it and got over. So that's kind of cool that happened. Number for me, I went with two former wrestlers that found a second life, elevating Seth Rollins to the next level. I go to J&J Security. Jamie Noble. Jamie Noble and, dude, what was his name? He was part of...
Joey Mercury.
Yeah, Joey Mercury. Yeah, Jamie and Joey. Fuck, I couldn't remember his name. I don't know why I blanked there a second. But yeah, I mean, everything about Seth Rollins evolving into the top company had to do with J&J Security. I mean, he is every bit for Seth Rollins what the Singh brothers were for Jinder Mahal. That's why the Singh brothers didn't make my list, because I felt like J&J Security did it first.
Good call. All right, we're up to number 3. Dan, who you got?
Well, my number 3 was Mizdow, but since we've already discussed him, I'd like to talk about someone that should be on my list. I thought that's where you're going, Floyd, when I heard a couple of guys. It turned out to be J&J Security, but you know who I was thinking of that really should be mentioned is Patterson and Briscoe in the Attitude Era.
Yeah, they did it. They did it first.
Yeah, the Stooges were fantastic. I love the way they speak as far as the Mr. McMahon, getting pinned while you're asleep, while you have the Hardcore Championship. That's hysterical. Just two older guys who, once again, found new life in their career and really pulled off some goofy but memorable stuff. Shout
out to both of them. Pat Patterson, I heard something recently, so I am stealing this. He was the WWE's WAS, and Vince McMahon would be the Bill Gates, because that being said, apparently all the great ideas Vince McMahon ever had came from Pat Patterson.
Right on.
Not shocking. All right, so my number 3 is Sean Waltman to the rest of the clique.
Yeah, he actually... I told you I had a list of 15, definitely in there. I had him as the sidekick to Hall and Nash. But yeah, he was everybody's sidekick.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here.
Number 3, I told you, Dave, I was going to come up with an obscure one, right?
Right.
And I think most people don't realize how much he did for Chris Jericho's career. You got to go back to WCW, and I think it really took Chris Jericho from just a great worker to a person that was an all-around entertainer. I'm talking about Jericho's personal security office.
Wow. Didn't see that coming.
That is a deep cut.
Yeah, no, let me tell you. And it was funny because it really did. If you go back to the time of Jericho, he was just a great worker. He was the lion tamer, and he kind of did that heel turn. And, he started talking on the mic, and this is what, caught everybody's eye and really made him Chris Jericho. I mean, honestly, he was Jason's one of the favorite wrestlers when he turned heel. And what really kind of drove that home was he went and got just pretty much a camera guy, had on a T-shirt that says Jericho's personal security, and had Ralphus doing all his dirty work. So... shout out to Ralphus, the only list he'll probably ever be on.
Nice. All right, so we're up to number 2, Dan.
Number 2, this is my hot take. Although the more I think about it, I don't think it's that much of a hot take at all. I'm going with 2 guys that are destroying it in Japan right now on their own, but they're also making someone else look that much better. I'm going the Young Bucks.
So you're saying they're the sidekick to Kenny Omega?
Absolutely.
Okay,
that's
I can see that.
Oh, okay.
If you saw, the match last night, Young Bucks, they're always out ringside. Whenever, the ending happened, they run in and they grab Kenny, and they're always around. They care so much about Kenny. Even whenever, Kenny was going into his kind of meltdown with the New Day, and he had to have an intervention from the Young Bucks. Kenny got them new T-shirts and everything, and they were having nothing to do with it. The Young Bucks are great, smarmy, shitty little sidekicks, much like the Singh brothers, but they're just doing it on such a different level.
Man, I wish I had thought of that. That's great. It's mine. Yeah, it's so much better than mine. My number 2 is Triple H to HBK.
Okay. It made Triple H who he is. Shawn Michaels, the ultimate rub artist, and that was supposed to sound inappropriate. He's given so many people the rub that it's just like it was hard to narrow it down. So Triple H, he went from in Vince McMahon's doghouse to partially running the company. So that was the greatest evolution of a sidekick.
So was he your number 2 as well?
No.
Okay, who's your number 2?
Number 2 is Double A, Arn Anderson. I imagine he's probably somebody's number 1, but when all the Horsemen left, the person that never, ever left the side of Ric Flair was Arn Anderson. Flair was Flair before Anderson, so the reason he's number 2, because like I said, a great sidekick elevates you to that next level. And Flair was there already, and then Anderson just kind of added some volume to the career of what is Ric Flair. And it was another instance of Ric Flair saw Anderson at a Georgia Championship Wrestling show, called and said, we're going to bring this guy in, and he's with me. And Arn Anderson, he has said many times, he's not the enforcer. He's not who he is. Ric Flair never makes that call.
Very nice. All right, we're up to the final number 1. Dan?
You know what, Floyd? You're 100% right whenever you said Arn Anderson, because he's my number 1 right now. He's everyone's scary, angry dad. Even with those glasses, he just looks intimidating as hell. And he was the perfect guy to stand behind Ric Flair. Whenever Ric Flair would run his mouth, you always saw Arn right there behind him. You wanted to punch Ric Flair in the mouth, but you know what? You'd have to deal with Arn first, and nobody wanted to do that. And the way that they cared so much, I can't remember what show it was, but there was an Arn versus Ric Flair match where it wasn't they were feuding. Perhaps they didn't want to wrestle each other, but they knew they had to just because they had to get it out of their system. There wasn't any bad blood. It's just like, hey, you know what? I'm as good as I think I am, Rick. And I'm going to show you just how good I am. I'm proving my worth to you by kicking the shit out of you right here in this match, even if they were really pensive about having to do it. Arn Anderson, an absolute legend.
My number 1 is also Arn Anderson for all of those same very reasons. I remember one time there was at some point during the NWO era, Anderson made a comment. It was early NWO. He was, I guess there was going to be a battle royal or something to determine who could go for the championship, and he was in it, and he said, you know what, in this last year, I've beaten Ric Flair twice, and he's beaten Hogan twice, and I beat Ric Flair once. Who else can say they've done that? And that always stuck with me. His promos were some of the best, and so Arn Anderson all the way.
And Arn Anderson being my favorite wrestler of all time, you would expect he's my number 1. But I went number 1. I went with Big Daddy Cool Kevin Nash as a sidekick to Shawn Michaels. The reason was Shawn Michaels was at that point where he was kind of stuck in that mid-level. He would defend in the Intercontinental match with Davey Boy Smith and all that stuff, and he was like, he was smaller. Vince didn't really feel like going to that smaller. He needed that intimidating force to really drive home the fact that he was going to be the top guy. He made a call down to WCW because he was watching the show to this guy that was playing Oz, and he said, they're wasting your talent. You need to be up here. Come be my bodyguard. And Kevin Nash came up to WWF, and I give him the nod because he was Shawn Michaels' sidekick but he became WWF champion first.
And was also regarded as one of the worst runs in history, and ratings actually plummeted. So,
but just think about that. I brought you in as my sidekick. I brought you in to elevate my career, and you became the WWF champion first.
Yeah, that's actually, as you were talking about it, and I was thinking about that, I was like, yeah, did Big Daddy get the belt first?
Yeah, he beat Bob Backlund in 8 seconds at Madison Square Garden. The last time the WWF title was changed hands off TV.
And that was a run that was over a year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a year run. And, a lot of people, the WWE did not make a lot of money one year. And, people hated Kevin Nash, and they hated Big Daddy Cool. That does, to me, for the point of the sidekick list, he became champion before the person he was sidekicking for.
Yep, there you go. Perfect. Well,
that is why he will always be my number one. I mean, everybody else, Michaels gave Nash such a rub that Vince was like, oh, screw you, I'm putting the belt on him.
There you go.
That's crazy.
So that's anything else we got before we scoot out of here? Anything?
Anything. Well, I plan on sending in my reports from Brooklyn. I'm really looking forward to this. If anybody knows what I'm doing, I'm driving from Oklahoma City to Houston, and Houston to Brooklyn. So that'll put me on the road about 30 hours. So there will truly be no sleep till Brooklyn. I'm looking forward to, this will be my third of the big 4 of the year. I'm looking forward to reporting back to everyone. Hopefully I get to meet Triple H and Stephanie while I'm there. So I am looking forward to coming back to Around the Ring with a fresh point of view, and the club will be full force. I think we'll have 7 people there, and this will be like 6 major pay-per-views in a row that the club will be in the building.
Yes, club represent. So, Dan, if you could go ahead and tell the great folks about the next big event for Blow.
Right on. Our next show will be at the Blue Note at 6 o'clock on August 27th. It's going to be Dead Legends of Music. So come out and see your favorite indie wrestling / theater troupe. Come out, kick everybody's asses. Our last show was a huge success. We had lines out the door, and then people figured out they could just walk around to the back end of the building through the alley and watch it back in the parking lot. So even if you can't get in, come around the building and see us work, because we love the crowd, we love the enthusiasm from the city, and we hope to put on a great show for you.
And people can find Blow online where?
Blow OKC on Facebook.
All right. Check it out. Make sure if you're in the Oklahoma City or the central Oklahoma area, head out to the Blue Note, check out some Blow, and we'll just leave it at that. Sounds like a great time.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we're out of here. We will have some show next week. Not sure what yet, but we'll be here. Come hell or high water, Around the Ring will happen in some capacity or another. But until then, Floyd, it's that time.
It's that time where the adventure every week where I try to get my own catchphrase right. For Dirty Dan Rube, Silky Dave Brown, this is your Floyd Johnson, wishing you the best week. And just remember, in this world, life is very much a work. Do not forget to kick out at 2. We'll see you the next time Around the Ring.
Here's a song for the working man, and we dedicate this man that works in a factory out on a job. Dedicated to the truckies, to the gold miners, to the opal miners. Always got somebody looking down his neck trying to get more out of him than he ought to have to put in. After 29 long years of working in the shop with Oni standing over me, today when that old whistle blows, I'll check in all my gear and I'll retire. That superintendent just stopped by and said they'd plan my little get-together. Then he said I'd have never made it if old Oni hadn't held me to the fire. I've seen him in my dreams at night and woke up in the morning feeling tired. And old Oni can't remember when I came here how he tried to get me fired. With his folded hands behind his back, each morning Oni waited at the gate.
Hear the drummer get wicked. 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 Hear the drummer get wicked.